Chapter-101-120 Actor. Zhao Hai was a middle-aged man of about 40 years old, with a medium height and a slightly fat build. He was wearing a light gray silk robe, animal leather boots, and a belt studded with gems around his waist. There are 3 bright golden rings on the short fingers. Dressed very differently. He looks like a rich nouveau riche, both in appearance and temperament. There were 5 people at the table where Zhao Hai was sitting. The other 3 were men and 1 woman. The man looked like a businessman, while the woman was wearing heavy makeup. She spoke in a whimpering voice. "Please come to accompany you to dinner." There are no brothels in Konoha village, but there are almost all brothels in other villages and towns in the Land of Fire. This person is like a businessman, especially Zhao Hai, who seems to be the richest and most flamboyant. They seem to have negotiated some business. Zhao Hai laughs happily, and the hand under the table is still a little dishonest. The woman touched her leg. A rich, vulgar, lascivious, arrogant big businessman. Needless to say, there are many such people. From Zhao Hai, there is no trace of a ninja. The trained ninjas are very self-disciplined. No matter whether it is good or bad, they will not be like Zhao Hai. Fingers, his voice is very high, for fear that others will not notice him. Special Jonin. The subconscious Luhan can only think so. Level 30 is Jonin, level 20 is Chunin, and 25 is in between. Naturally it is Special Jonin, but what does diamond mean? Luhan originally thought that there were only 3 grades of title: bronze, white silver, and gold. Elf, what is the name of a diamond? It's higher than gold. Luhan glanced back, pretending to hate Zhao Hai's attitude, and asked in his heart. The independent title has nothing to do with the conventional 3 titles. Elf said. What do you mean? Is he a special Jonin? Luhan asked again. He is a special Jonin, but not all special Jonins have the title. The evaluation standard of a special Jonin is that some abilities reach the level of Jonin, but the overall level is insufficient. The wizard continued to explain, while a normal special Jonin is rated at 20. A level gold boss will not be rated to level 25. Quote. Especially Jonin is a level 20 gold boss. Luhan was taken aback. Not all, the level 20 gold boss covers the experienced elite Chunin, as well as most of the special Jonin. Then, what does the level 25 diamond boss mean? 2 points. First, he is a special Jonin, and second, his ninja abilities in some aspects other than combat strength have reached the level of elite Jonin. That is, his abilities in certain aspects are enough to compare with ninjas rated at level 40, or even higher. Quote. This. Luhan was stunned for a moment. In some respects, his abilities were comparable to that of an elite Jonin. Uchiha Agumu's rating is only level 30 gold boss, and before it reaches level 40, the only enemy Luhan who has reached level 40 is Shimura Hozo that he saw in the morning exam. According to the elves, Zhao Hai's strength has not reached the level of Jonin. Fighting ability is the most important rating standard for ninjas. Zhao Hai cannot have the strength of elite Jonin, otherwise the rating cannot be 25. In addition to combat strength, a certain ability that a ninja should have, maybe even several abilities, reached the level of 40. Luhan couldn't help but look back after thinking, and glanced at Cao Zhao Hai and the people at the table with him. He was at the same table with orange names, which means that they are not the same as Zhao Hai, they may have only met recently. Did not know the true identity of Zhao Hai at all. Ever since Luhan agreed not to collect the debt, Tsunade smiled and his appetite improved. While eating, he kept paying attention to Luhan's face. Luhan looked at the table in the back corner twice. Tsunade frowned. Shut up. Don't be arguing here. Tsunade suddenly got up and yelled, frowning at the table. The table in the corner fell silent. Bang. Damn, what do you mean? You care about Lao Su? Zhao Hai suddenly slammed on the table and stood up, with an arrogant expression on his face. He didn't seem to know Tsunade. Shut up. Asshole. Looking for death. Cut him. The moment Zhao Hai scolded it, a large crowd of people stood up on the second floor of this rather high-end noodle restaurant. Ordinary people would definitely be frightened when they saw it. This is a noodle restaurant in the downtown area. It has 7 floors. The only people who can come here to spend money, except ninjas, are rich businessmen. There are more than 30 tables on the 2nd floor, and most of the guests at the tables are ninjas. At least hundreds of Konoha ninjas got up at the same time. Diagonal Kai's brows were cold, and 2 ninjas immediately appeared beside Zhao, both of whom were holding onto Zhao neck. Zhao face turned pale with fright. He didn't dare to move at all, his hands were shaking a little, and all the guests at the table with him had a confused expression. Idiot can see that that woman is definitely a great person for Konoha. Lord Tsunade, Konoha Jonin asked Tsunade, who was holding kunai around Kakai's neck. Ouch, Grandma, I was wrong, I was really wrong. You are going around the little one. Zhao seemed to be scared to pee, raised his hand and slapped his face, his legs trembling as if he was about to stand no longer. Keep your voice down. Tsunade was expressionless, pointed at Kakaido, and then waved to the ninja beside Kakai. That Konoha Jonin glanced at Zhao with a bad look, then took away the kunai and walked towards his position. The noodle restaurant quickly returned to its previous appearance. The Konoha ninjas who were sitting in different positions were still chatting with the people around them. They didn't look at Tsunade much, but stared at the sea. These ninjas didn't come all the way, and some didn't know each other. But they all know Tsunade. Feeling scolded by Tsunade's nose in Konoha village, I am really impatient. Zhao slumped on the chair, his clothes almost soaked with sweat. He even took out a gold handkerchief and kept wiping the cold sweat from his temples. This kind of acting is really... Luhan finally took back his observation. He seemed to already know where Zhao abilities were. Chapter 0102-poisonous. Excessive guy, Tsunade muttered after sitting down, then looked at Luhan and said, when are you going to report to Anbu? When should it be? Luhan glanced at Tsunade and started eating noodles again. Because the teacher gave me half a year to give you the ability to pass the Anbu exam within half a year. Tsunade whispered, it's only been less than 2 months, although you have passed the Anbu exam now. Exams, but reporting later is not a problem. Quote. Isn't that okay at any time? Luhan asked back, tomorrow. Or in a few months. No, you can't find the location of Anbu's station, and you need me to take you there. Tsunade added, but I may go out on a mission at any time, and if I'm not there, no one will take you to report, so you have to advance in advance. Tell me, so even if I'm not in the village, I can arrange for someone to take you there. This way, Luhan thought. The first 2 things for him to join Anbu, one is to rely on Anbu's power to find Uchiha Gumu, and the other is to make friends with Anbu Captain, and these 2 things seem to be impossible to accomplish in a short time, so it doesn't hurt to wait. Entering Anbu means that freedom will be limited. There are 2 types of ninjas in Konoha, one is the free mission ninja, and the other is the army ninja. Luhan is the former at this time, and he can accept the mission at any time or rest at any time. Once he joins Anbu, it is the latter. If you become a ninja in the army, you will inevitably be limited in your actions, and you will not be able to accept tasks at will. Then wait, I'm not in a hurry. Luhan thought. The 2 were chatting, and the 2nd floor of the noodle restaurant was still the same as before. Although there was a lot of noise, it was at most the sound of normal speech, which would not affect other people. The table at Zhao had been silent for a while, and Zhao was still holding a handkerchief, wiping the sweat from his temples. Although Luhan had been talking to Tsunade, he was actually paying attention to Zhao. A Megakure village scout with super camouflage ability, since he can reach the 25-level diamond boss rating standard, his identity must be high in a Megakure village, and he doesn't know what he wants to do in Konoha. Stealing classified information. Come find out if Uzumaki Mito is dead. No matter what it was, Luhan would definitely not give him another chance. Ding. Remind the subversive 3665 that there are very few hostile characters reaching the title of Diamond. The first kill of a diamond boss of the same level is rich in rewards. The voice of the elf suddenly sounded in Lu Han's mind. Lu Han, who had just finished eating the noodles, couldn't help but stop for a while, thinking strangely. This is the first time the elves have issued such a prompt. It's level 25, just kill it. Lu Han asked in his heart, how rich can the reward be? The explosion rate of important drops from diamond bosses is 10 times that of gold bosses, and may drop special rare items. Elf said. 10 times. Lu Han's heart trembled violently. The first thing that came to his mind was ingots. Secondly, level 25 is not a low level, especially Jonin and boss. The things that drop will not be worse than level 30 elite, right? 10 times the explosion rate. 10 times. This is based on the first kill explosion rate, and then increases the explosion rate tenfold. Lu Han already had the idea of rushing up to cut Zhao Hai immediately, but he restrained it. This lunch took a long time. Lu Han used to eat quickly before, but then he became more leisurely. Did he chat with Tsunade a few times? Tsunade can eat very well. Because she is not only a medical ninja, but also a rare taiju ninja, her demand for food is higher than that of ordinary ninjas. Zhao Hai has been sitting in the corner, and he doesn't know why he still hasn't escaped. I'm full, how long are you going to eat? Tsunade asked after finishing his meal first. It's nothing to worry about. Lu Han raised his head and looked at Tsunade. If Mr. Tsunade has something to do, you can go first. I'm going to buy something after eating later. Food. Tsunade heard Lu Han, then got up and said, then I'll go first. Call. Tsunade's hand seal disappeared from the table. At this moment, Zhao Hai suddenly stood up and walked towards Lu Han. He passed many tables along the way, with a flattering smile on his face. He waved to the Konoha ninja again and again, saying, I am sorry just now, etc. He walked all the way to Lu Han's table, very cautiously, and slowly sat down where Tsunade had been before, smiling at Lu Han all the time, embarrassed and a little flattering. What are you doing? Lu Han asked suspiciously, extremely surprised that this guy actually delivered to the door. I'm so sorry just now, it's all my stinky mouth. Actually, I'm not a bad person. Zhao Hai slapped himself and slapped him so hard that Lu Han was taken aback for a moment. This guy is to apologize. Oh, pay attention in the future. Lu Han said indifferently, it's okay to go away, I'm going to eat. Zhao Hai dawdled, looking at Lu Han hesitantly, as if he wanted to say something. What do you want to say? Lu Han asked. That one just now. Is it Tsunade-sama? Yes, what's wrong? The first time I met, I didn't expect to be so young and beautiful. What Zhao Hai said was a little frivolous, which highlighted his lecherous nature, but Lu Han was not fooled. Lu Han knew that he was acting. What do you mean? Lu Han asked with a frown. No, don't get me wrong. In fact, I came to Konoha this time mainly for one thing. I want to ask the powerful ninjas of Konoha to help. I can pay enough money. He took out a scroll in his arms. This. Can you please pass it to Master Tsunade for me? Task. Trap. Lu Han was shocked. This guy really came here to do something big. Show me. Lu Han raised his hand and said. Zhao Hai quickly stood up, dragged the scroll with both hands and handed it out. Lu Han held the scroll in his hand. Ding. Remind Subversive 3665 that you have been poisoned and have entered a state of continuous blood loss. The wizard voice prompted, and at the same time Lu Han's attribute page popped up, which also showed Lu Han's poisoning state. The scrolls are poisonous. He came to kill me. A flash of lightning flashed across Lu Han's mind. Chapter 0103_boom acting. Lu Han was a little shocked. He was shocked not because the scroll was poisonous, that poison could not kill him, nor because Zhao Hai wanted to kill him. Anyone who killed him could explain it. What shocked Lu Han was Zhao Hai's acting skills. His camouflage ability. It wasn't until Lu Han knew that he was poisoned that he knew that Zhao Hai was here to kill him. Before that, Lu Han knew that Zhao Hai was a scout of a Megakure village, and knew that Zhao Hai came to Konoha to do bad things, but he didn't tell him. Zhao Hai's demeanor has the slightest sense that he is going to kill himself. Now that I analyze it, Zhao Hai's laugh just now is annoying, and it may be intentional. Maybe he was just trying to attract attention, to attract the attention of Tsunade and Lu Han. So there is a chance to talk to Lu Han with a reason. His eyes, his expression, and his every movement are all filled with a sense of reality. Lu Han knew he was a spy. Since he handed the poisonous scroll to Lu Han, he would definitely kill Lu Han. He knew Lu Han. But he didn't show any suspicious color because the target of Lu Han was nearby. Lu Han had been observing him, but he didn't notice it at all. Terrible acting. The camouflage ability that has reached the realm. If Lu Han was not a subversive, he would definitely be killed by Zhao Hai. This is a ninja with no flaws. It can even be said that even if Lu Han knew that he was a spy, if Zhao Hai was a dead man and he didn't want to retreat, then he could do other tricks on the scroll and kill Lu Han more directly. For example, under the strong poison. Instant death. Or make a reel that can detonate. This guy, Lu Han forcibly suppressed the stormy waves in his heart, opened the scroll, and looked at it as usual. Zhao Hai naturally wants to get out of the body, so the scroll is a chronic poison that takes a long time to kill. On the scroll is an escort mission, and the escorted person is Zhao Hai. He hopes to enter the country of rain to do a big business, because it is extremely dangerous to enter the hinterland of the country of rain and must be escorted by a very advanced ninja. For this, he is willing to pay a commission of 1.2 million taels. In terms of risk and commission price, this is an S-rank mission. At least an elite Jonin can do it, or multiple Jonins can. This guy even thought of a way to retreat, and went straight back to the land of rain. If Lu Han didn't notice, Tsunade would definitely not do this task, but Konoha would also send other Jonin to do it. When he was escorted away by Konoha Jonin, Lu Han died. In Konoha Jonin escorted the Horned Sea into the land of rain, and also died in the land of rain. This is the result Kakai wants. And he didn't seem to do much, he didn't need to hide, he didn't need to sneak into any important place in Konoha, just had a meal at the noodle shop in Konoha village. This kind of efficiency in completing tasks is horrifying. He's not as strong as Jonin, but he's scary. There is such a person in the village of Omegakure, is it sent by Hanzo of the Salamander? Hanzo of the Salamander, really perseverance. I don't know if Sarutobi Hiruzen has dealt with this matter, or before Sarutobi Hiruzen dealt with it. Hanzo of the Salamander sent people out first. Too late to recall. Lu Han scanned the scroll back and forth, and his mind was full of thoughts. How? Zhao Hai said with a flattering smile, showing the expression of being a little scared and asking people to do things to the fullest. Well, Lu Han put down the scroll thoughtfully and looked at Zhao Hai with a thoughtful look. Kakai has acting skills. Lu Han didn't have it. It's not impossible, but Lu Han lowered his voice, gave Zhao Hai a hinting look and said, Master Tsunade is very busy. I can send this to you, and even take you to see Master Tsunade. But is this? I fell in love with a girl recently, and I'm going to give her a gift. A gift? Zhao Hai immediately understood, and even whispered, since the little brother is helping me, I will leave this gift to me. I can't let you help me in vain. Okay, let's go, I'll take you directly to see Lord Tsunade. Lu Han got up immediately. Zhao Hai looked like he was very good at doing things, so he got up and waved to the man, took out the money and paid the bill directly. I think we may have misunderstood before. Ha ha ha, yeah, I'm so sorry. The two walked out laughing. Zhao Hai laughed again, he seemed to be like this, his disguised nature. Zhao Hai's laughter once again attracted some attention, but this time, no one blamed Zhao Hai. Zhao Hai was about to leave, and seemed to have established a relationship with Han. Some ninjas shook their heads secretly, not understanding why Han wanted to befriend such people. The two walked to the stairs side by side. Lu Han suddenly raised his right hand and hooked Zhao Hai's neck, leaned closer to Zhao Hai's ear and lowered his voice. I tell you, you have to meet Mr. Tsunade later. Zhao Hai turned his head and listened with a serious look on his face. Lu Han's right hand had already wrapped around Zhao Hai's neck. Tsunade-sama shi. The dark kunai popped out of Lu Han's sleeve in an instant. As Lu Han spoke, he suddenly waved his hand. Kai. A lot of blood spurted out of Zhao Hai's throat. At that moment, his pupils contracted violently, and he moved his left hand. He didn't have any weapons on his body. He wanted to raise his hand to hand seal, but Lu Han pinched his left wrist tightly. Living. Gulu gulu. Zhao Hai couldn't even look back at Lu Han, because Lu Han completely cut his throat, including his muscles, and he couldn't speak. He could only make a gulu sound in his mouth, and the blood was surging. The severe pain and the massive loss of blood made him dizzy, his whole body quickly lost strength, and he couldn't breathe. Lu Han pushed Zhao Hai away. Zhao Hai staggered forward and fell directly, blood spraying everywhere. He really wanted to look back and see Lu Han, but he couldn't, he was going to die soon. The ninja on the second floor of the noodle restaurant was completely silent, and the ninjas stood up slowly from their respective tables, staring at Lu Han with dumbfounded expressions. Damn it, Lu Han said calmly, scolding in an unhappy voice, and ditched the blood of supreme suffering. Special Jonin, what about the master of disguise? If you say kill you, kill you. Isn't it just acting? Chapter 0104 Cold Public Murder. Zhao Hai is very confident. It could even be said to be conceited. For nearly 10 years, he has been the strongest scout in a Megakure village. His strength is not in his fighting ability, but in his ability to complete tasks. Spying on information, trace analysis, clue deduction, fake fraud, detoxify and detoxify. In the entire Megakure village, he is the strongest in these abilities. And when it comes to killing people, for Zhao Hai, killing people depends on wisdom, not force. Zhao Hai is even full of contempt for killing people by force, which is a kind of morbid psychology. Killing is killing, as long as it succeeds, no matter what the means, but Zhao Hai doesn't think so. He is a master of disguise, and he believes in his ability to disguise the most. Murder with camouflage fraud. It's his favorite thing to do. But it was precisely because he disguised as ultimate that he gave Lu Han the chance to kill him easily. Special Jonin is not a weak ninja. Generally, the Special Jonin in the mission is always vigilant. This vigilance has been integrated into the subconscious after years of training. If Lu Han had just attacked another Special Jonin, Lu Han would not have succeeded without showing some real power. But Diagonal Secan has integrated the ability of disguise into his bones. He is disguising all the time. He came to Konoha this time, disguised as a vulgar upstart wealthy businessman. For this reason he hid all his ninja abilities. He wasn't armed because that might expose him. He gave up his defenses around him, because that might make his camouflage flawed. In order to make himself more real, he let go of everything. When Lu Han hooked his neck and wanted to whisper, he was not alert, because his subconscious told him that it was wrong. As long as he was alert, there would be flaws. He is a crazy master of disguise. He also died on his own madness. It shouldn't be too easy for Lu Han to kill him. Lu Han is a ninja, and he doesn't need to pretend to be an ordinary person, so it's easier for him to perform. Maybe his acting skills are not as good as Haijiao at this time, but he successfully deceived Haijiao. The cape, whose throat was completely slit, was crawling on the floor, and a large amount of blood had flowed. He was shaking, trying to move his body with great difficulty. He really wanted to see Lu Han. He wanted to know how Lu Han saw through his disguise. He didn't think he had any flaws. Naturally, Lu Han would not explain this to Zhao Hai. He kept looking at Zhao Hai, watching Zhao Hai stop trembling. His whole body burst with golden light like fireworks, and nearly 100 pieces of falling objects erupted from Zhao Hai. Ding! Congratulations to Subversive 3665 for the first kill of a level 25 diamond boss. The entire lobby on the second floor had been silent for a while, and everyone was stunned. Han killed this businessman who had offended Tsunade before. The moment before, the two were still hanging on each other like good friends, and Han suddenly started to kill. Why? Call, call, call. In different locations, 3 ninjas left after Han seal one after another. They went to report, and many people must be notified about this matter. Han killed an ordinary person who was not a ninja in public. This is no small matter. Han is the genin of Konoha, and Konoha ninjas are obliged to protect the common people merchants who come to Konoha, but Han did the opposite and killed people. If there is no reasonable explanation for this matter, the impact is extremely bad. Han kills people in public, naturally he has considered the consequences, and he is very calm. Zhao Hai was dead, and the dropped objects were automatically recovered. Han took 2 steps forward, turned over on Zhao Hai, and found a lot of money tickets. You came here and stained your floor. I'm sorry, I'll pay you. Han shook the guy in charge of the business on the 2nd floor with the money ticket. The guy didn't seem to be 2 years old. The 10-year-old, not a ninja, seemed to be scared to cry, and did not dare to approach Han. Is the floor dirty? Blooded to ultimate. Han's expression was overly calm, and his calmness was frightening. Then I'll put it here. Seeing that the guy didn't dare to come, Han threw the stack of money tickets on the nearest table. Among the more than 100 diners in the lobby on the 2nd floor, there are still a few from Jonin. As they should be taken down as soon as possible when encountering such a thing, but they did not go to the cold, Tsunade apprentices, they dare not move. Call. Whirlwind suddenly swept up beside Han. Tsunade appeared out of thin air. She just left. She was notified immediately and came back as quickly as possible. Tsunade's eyes widened and he looked at Cape's corpse, then suddenly turned to look at Han, exclaiming, "Why are you doing this? Are you crazy?" The excited Tsunade's eye circles were a little like Yuhi. Indiscriminate killing of innocents. But death penalty. Call, 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 call. Several whirlwinds suddenly rolled around, and 5 Konoha guard ninjas appeared around, looked at the corpse, looked at Han, looked at Tsunade again, and finally looked at each other. They didn't dare to do anything to Han. Right to catch people, but Tsunade is here. I think we can change places, I'll explain to you. Han glanced at Tsunade. You better explain it to me. Tsunade bit Kiba angrily. The 2-hand seal disappeared on the 2nd floor. The frying pan followed in the lobby on the 2nd floor. What's the matter? Why all of a sudden? This kid is getting more and more different, and his face doesn't change. It's kind of scary. The ninjas were talking and crying. There are still some rich ordinary diners here, few of them, and women. They all endured it before, but after Han left, they all cried out in shock. Came out. Throat cutting is a very cruel method of murder. It is better to cut off the head directly. I don't know who said it first, but after 10 minutes of Han's killing in public, an explanation about Han's killing quickly spread. The reason why Han killed the businessman was because the businessman had scolded Master Tsunade before, but Master Tsunade didn't care, but as a disciple of Master Tsunade, he was cold enough to pretend to befriend the other party, and then impulsively kill. It didn't take long for this matter to reach the ears of the 3rd-generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. Chapter 0105 gave Sarutobi Hiruzen. In the woods near the downtown area, a gentle breeze ruffled Tsunade's long hair. Tsunade's hair was messed up and his heart was shaking. Bastard kid. Tsunade walked back and forth under the tree, looking a little frantic. What the hell do you think? Do you know how much trouble this is? Do you think you are Orochimaru? Kill innocent people. If there is no reason, you are finished. While talking about Han, Tsunade also expressed his resentment towards Orochimaru. Orochimaru often killed innocent people indiscriminately during his mission. According to his words, it was necessary for the mission to prevent leaks, because this Tsunade couldn't remember how many times he had snitched to Hokage. Sarutobi Hiruzen said every time he would talk to Orochimaru, but Orochimaru has not changed. Orochimaru is only one. Unique. When he was young, Orochimaru was Sarutobi Hirazen's most favorite disciple, because he showed amazing talent at a very young age, and was regarded by Sarutobi Hirazen as the future of Konoha. So some things, Sarutobi Hirazen will turn a blind eye to Orochimaru. Is Orochimaru's identity, and what is Han's identity? There is no comparison at all. I haven't explained it yet, okay. Han stood aside while holding his shoulders, looking at Tsunade innocently. How do you explain it? Tsunade yelled at Han, about to cry in a hurry. Now she really cares about the cold, didn't he just scold me? What about you? As for what? Not only the ninjas who witnessed it misunderstood, but Tsunade also misunderstood. Because she couldn't think of any other reason, Han, you didn't know that vulgar businessman before. Although Tsunade and Han are always quarreling, but Tsunade still feels very close to Han. This is a kind of closeness that goes beyond the ordinary master-apprentice relationship. Han is not the kind of honesty that would behave as an apprentice, but instead make Tsunade feel relaxed. Han impulsively killed because of Tsunade's humiliation. Let's not say how likely this is to happen, but it was the only possibility Tsunade could think of. Otherwise, why did Han kill the businessman in such a cruel way? Look at this. Han didn't say much nonsense. He took out the scroll and unfolded it for Tsunade to see. Tsunade was immediately attracted. His eyes swept over it quickly, and then he looked at Han and said quickly, he wants to release a mission. What's the problem? Is this why you killed him? Yes. You bastard. Toxic on the reels. What? I said poison on the scroll. Tsunade stood in front of Han and was stunned. It's a chronic poison. Han said quickly, maintaining the posture of unrolling the scroll. I am naturally sensitive to toxins, and if I come into contact with any poisonous substance, I will immediately feel it. He handed this scroll to me and said he wanted me to hand it over here. I hope I can ask you to perform a mission. The slow poison on this can't kill you at all, you're a medical ninja. But if it can kill me, he's here to kill me. Ninjutsu, the technique of voyeurism. Tsunade put one hand on Han's forehead, her hand glowing green, and within a second, she took it away again, her face gloomy and uncertain. She was sure that Han was indeed infected with chronic poison, he did not lie. Han looked at Tsunade, his eyes were normal at first, but soon turned into helpless dead fish eyes. Hey, dear Mr. Tsunade, can you help me detoxify first? Han rolled the eyes of the dead fish and asked, why did he become so nervous at this time? Oh, I almost forgot. Tsunade responded immediately and quickly hand-sealed. Ninja, the technique of purification. The blue light swept across Han's body. It is a chronic poison. Han has just been poisoned for a long time, and his body has not felt any discomfort. It is very good to detoxify. The poison used by Zhaohai, although it is highly poisonous, is still less toxic, because the more poisonous poisons usually have colors and smells, and the colorless and odorless poisons are not so strong because of too many restrictions. Give me the scroll. After detoxifying Han, Tsunade took the scroll again. She knew it was poisonous, so she would naturally isolate it with chakra. Tsunade began to study the scroll, as if looking for clues. Han clasped the back of his head with both hands and stood aside leisurely. He will definitely not be punished, and there should be rewards. Although it is difficult to explain how he killed Zhaohai in that way, it is not completely inexplicable. He killed a foreign spy killer and did not reveal his strength. It's definitely fine. Call. A whirlwind rolled up on a tree not far away, and a black-robed figure with a mask suddenly appeared, Anbu Ninja. Master Tsunade, Master Hokage wants to see you, and Han. Anbu Ninja said quickly. Tsunade glanced up and nodded in response. Got it. ... Half an hour has passed since Han killed Zhaohai. In the quaint lobby, Sarutobi Hirazen sat cross-legged on the long wooden slump, listening to Tsunade and Han's report. Teacher, this person poisoned the scroll with the intent to assassinate Han. The evidence is conclusive. Lord Hokage, I know you will definitely ask. I will say it straight. The reason why I killed him like that is because I am not convinced. I can live well in Konoha village, I can be appreciated by Lord Hokage, and I can be accepted by Master Tsunade. Disciple, it was all because of my observation ability, but he deceived me. This is the first time, and I think it is the only time. In fact, I could have shouted at that time, surrounded by our ninjas, he couldn't run, but I just want to try, he lied to me, and I want to lie to him. I want to kill him in a deceptive way. I succeeded. Lu Han's explanation was full of childishness, and he refused to admit defeat. This is in line with Lu Han's current age. Although it's a bit weird, Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't ask much. No matter what kind of psychology Lu Han did at the time, he had already been poisoned. He was the victim. Correct. This is the ninja's law of survival. Hostile to each other, not you die. I'm dead. What Sarutobi Hiruzen is more concerned about now is, where did the killer disguised as a businessman come from? Dong dong. There was a knock on the door was pushed open, and two ninjas carried a stretcher into the lobby with a corpse that was pale from blood loss. Kakakai, Sarutobi Hiruzen yelled and stood up suddenly, losing his composure. Chapter-101-120 Anbu Myth _ Cape C. Sarutobi Hiruzen recognizes the Cape C. Sarutobi Hiruzen stood on the wooden cave and stared at the corpse of Zhaohai, as if he had seen some monster. His face was full of disbelief. He walked down the wooden cave slowly, came to the stretcher step by step, and kept looking at the corner. The face of the sea. Zhaohai's body had already been disposed of, and the wound on his neck was rolled up, but it was no longer bleeding. His face was frighteningly pale. His eyes were wide open, and he couldn't rest his eyes. You killed Zhaohai. Sarutobi Hiruzen turned around suddenly, staring at Lu Han. Is his name Zhaohai? Lu Han's face was startled, as if he didn't know why Sarutobi Hiruzen reacted so much. Tsunade had a weird expression. She hadn't seen her teacher lose her temper like this for a long time, so she quickly asked, Teacher. Who is he? He is the ace scout of the rain. He is a top scout ninja who is highly valued by Hanzo of the Salamander. Although I don't know what kind of combat power he has now, or even he may not have combat power, but I know that he is not only a ninja is also one of the high-level rulers of the country of rain. He is a grandmaster in disguise and has a super high reasoning talent. In addition to his talent in ninja, he is full of all kinds of incredible. Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke quickly, and looked at Zhaohai again, his eyes still so incredible. Lu Han frowned. This Sarutobi Hiruzen knows Zhaohai a little too much, right? How can it be? Teacher, you and him? Tsunade asked again, not knowing what to say. She could feel Sarutobi Hiruzen's abnormality. He should have died more than 10 years ago. Sarutobi Hiruzen understood Tsunade's meaning and continued, it was my own hands. Although there was information later that he was still alive, the information has never been confirmed. Even I have for a while. Anbu ninjas were sent to track him down with all their might, but to no avail. Quote. Sarutobi Hiruzen and Kakakai are more than acquaintances. He also personally killed Zhaohai. There seems to be a story in it. Lu Han and Tsunade looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sarutobi Hiruzen stared at the corpse of the sea, before turning over and walking towards the wooden collapse for a while. He seemed to be caught in the memory, and it was very slow before he walked to the wooden collapse and sat down. Teacher, Tsunade said again. He's Konoha missing nin, Sarutobi Hiruzen said. What? Tsunade exclaimed, and Lu Han's expression changed. That year was the 17th year of Konoha, and it didn't take long for me to become an official Hokage from acting Hokage. Sarutobi Hiruzen paused as soon as he spoke. He thought of Danzo. Although Sarutobi Hiruzen was the successor appointed by the second-generation Hokage Senju Tobirama, his succession did not go smoothly. Danzo wanted to compete with him for the position of Hokage. At that time, during the First Ninja World War, Konoha could not be leaderless. Sarutobi Hiruzen did not want to. He wasted his energy on fighting with Danzo, made a compromise, and with the support of Konoha, Anbu's high-level advisors, became Hokage's agent, and Danzo was Hokage's assistant. At that time, Danzo still had the possibility to bring him down, but during the First Ninja World War Sarutobi Hiruzen showed amazing strategy and commanding ability. With the end of the First Ninja World War, Sarutobi Hiruzen's reputation was booming, and this officially became the Hokage. Jouhai was the only genin in Anbu at that time. He was a few years older than me. There was a time when we were very close. Sarutobi Hiruzen said again. At that time, Anbu's functions were not as comprehensive as they are now. Normally, at least it also has to be Jonin to be selected for Anbu. Quote. Jouhai was selected. I asked him to join Anbu. At that time, he already possessed unimaginable scout talents, Grandmaster camouflage, reasoning, tracking, anti-tracking, and dozens of dialects. During his time in Anbu, he disguised himself as a different identity and completed a lot of difficult intelligence-gathering tasks. At that time, in the ninja world, the war had just subsided, but countries were still hostile to each other, and the war could break out at any time. All ninja villages, including Konoha, all on high alert. He can do things no other Jonin can. He's Anbu's myth. Anbu's ace scout. I trusted him very much at the time, regarded him as my right-hand man, and even planned to make him captain of Anbu. But I didn't expect. That day, someone sneaked into the secret place where the forbidden technique was stored in the village. Before, I deliberately revealed that place to others in a small area. In fact, it was a trap. I just wanted to rely on that trap to catch potential enemies. Top Scout. It's Jouhai. Damn it, it's him. I don't know why he did this. I don't know until now. Sarutobi Hiruzen said, more and more excited. It seemed that it was difficult to let go of what happened back then. The ninja I arranged in the dark found him. The alarm was issued. And then, dozens of Omegakure village ninjas appeared. They wanted to escort Kakai away. It was Kakai who brought them into the village. He knew the location of the secret post in the village, and he was able to formulate a reasonable route plan to let the dozens of Omegakure ninjas infiltrate Konoha on high alert. When I arrived at the scene, the dozens of Omegakures had already escorted Konoha out of the village. Anbu was all dispatched to hunt him down, and I chased him out, and found it in a valley dozens of kilometers away from Konoha village. With him, and a dozen Omegakures. I pressed him, why betray Konoha, but he didn't answer me. So killed him. I burned them all to ashes. After that, I got another report from Anbu. They said that the Cape Sea was also found in other directions, and dozens of Omegakure scattered after leaving the village. It became 4 teams, and each team escorted Jouhai to escape, so I understood, there are stand-ins. I don't know if I killed a stand-in. It was very dark at the time, and Jouhai was a person who was good at disguising. It's true or false. Sarutobi Hiruzen took a deep breath, trying to calm himself, and his voice slowed down a lot. I will never forget this face. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the corpse that looked over 40 years old. He is old. Fat. Uglier. But I will never forget him. He is a traitor. Shame on Anbu. Bugs in the original work, and there are inconsistencies in the 3-generation succession time. I will forcefully explain it here. Chapter-107 _ the student surpasses the master. He actually dared to go back to Konoha. Sarutobi Hiruzen's voice became much lower, and then fell silent. What else is Jouhai afraid to do? After all, it was more than 10 years ago. Most of the Anbu ninjas who tracked Jouhai had retired or died in battle. Jouhai has also changed from a young man to a middle-aged man who is starting to age. It is difficult to be fat. Suspected that he was a ninja. Only Sarutobi Hiruzen. He will never forget Kakai's facial features. Whether he is young or ugly, Sarutobi Hiruzen will never admit it wrong. Because it's not just Anbu's shame, but Sarutobi Hiruzen's too. It is he who is unknown. It almost caused a catastrophe. That year, Tsunade was only 6 or 7 years old, and not long after following Sarutobi Hiruzen's practice, as Sarutobi Hiruzen's apprentice, Tsunade didn't know about it, because Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't tell Tsunade his shame, he didn't have that face. Luhan has been listening on the sidelines, his thoughts are getting more and more strange. Originally, he thought that he just killed a spy in public, and this matter would not have much impact, but after listening to Sarutobi Hiruzen, Luhan felt he seemed to have dared to do something great. After that incident happened, for a whole year, I sent people to conduct a lot of spying in the land of rain. Sarutobi Hiruzen kept looking at the body of Zhaohai, and spoke again, as if he had controlled his emotions, and his voice became calm. But there is no news of Zhaohai, until in recent years, I got some special information, which happened in different countries, different ninja villages. Some ninja people were silently killed, including Jonin. By poisoned, drowned, buried in sandpits, some even looked like suicide. No one knows who the murderer is, and can't even find any clues. This makes me suspect that Zhaohai is still alive. This is his method of killing. Quote, Hokage will never kill people in the fight as a ninja. He was a genin back then, and his talent is not good. I can't say what level he is now. He is morbidly conceited about his ability, because he suffered from childhood too much ridicule, so he wanted to prove himself. Been proving. Sarutobi Hiruzen fell silent again, looking at the corpse, wondering what he was thinking. Tsunade had already started to look sideways at Luhan frequently, his eyes seemed to be looking at a monster he had never seen before. How did you kill him? Tell me in detail. Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly turned to look at Luhan and asked heavily. That's it. At the time I got the scroll, I immediately noticed that the scroll was poisonous. I was born with this ability. Then I pretended that nothing happened, and read the scroll carefully. In fact, I really wanted it at the time. Yelling, to alert the surrounding Konoha ninjas. But I'm a little worried. I don't know the strength of this guy. After all, he's so close to me, it's dangerous. So I'm going to lie to him. Since it started a few months ago, I have always felt that there is no one I can't see through, and the talent in this area has been tapped. He was the first, and he successfully poisoned me. So I'm going to kill him. I don't need the help of other ninjas, I'm going to kill him myself. I first pretended to ask him for a favor, he agreed, and then I said to take him to Lord Tsunade. We stood up together and wanted to leave together. I hooked his neck and pretended to whisper to him. He was very listen carefully. I slit his throat. That's it. After Luhan finished speaking, Sarutobi Hiruzen stared at Luhan without speaking for a while. Luhan was a little nervous when he was seen, but he was calm on the surface. In fact, Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't doubt Luhan. He could understand Zhaohai's morbid obsession back then, and he couldn't understand Luhan's desire to kill Zhaohai. More importantly, Luhan is telling the truth. He really thought so. Boom acting. Kill him. Otherwise, why would Luhan bother to kill in public, and led Zhaohai to a place where no one was at will to kill him, easily and without any trouble? Zhaohai is really the first person to deceive Luhan after Luhan came to this world. Luhan knew that Zhaohai was a foreign spy, but he was successfully poisoned by Zhaohai. For Luhan, it was a challenge to kill Zhaohai like that. You actually lied to Zhaohai. Sarutobi Hiruzen said suddenly, looking at Luhan with a radiance in his eyes. This was the reason why he was silent just now, because he couldn't accept it and needed to calm down. Han is only 12 years old. He seems to have to be better than the blue. It's all Zhaohai who has been deceiving people. When has he been deceived? Luhan did it. He didn't guard against me, so I just. Luhan said lightly. Sarutobi Hiruzen gave Luhan a deep look, withdrew his gaze, and waved his hands near the door. Go out, take the body away, and refrigerate it first. Yes. The two ninjas responded, lifted the stretcher and went out. Teacher, this matter will be. Tsunade couldn't help but speak. Hanzo of the Salamander, it must be him. I have sent someone to the Land of Rain a few days ago, and the person should have been sent by Hanzo of the Salamander in advance. Sarutobi Hiruzen asserted. He misunderstood Han as a genius in the ninja way, the genius who can kill the light of the night. Although he thought wrong, but he almost caused Konoha to suffer huge losses. This time Han killed Zhao. Hanzo of the Salamander will definitely have a new understanding of Han. Hanzo of the Salamander have a new understanding of Han, but so will Sarutobi Hiruzen. Because he has realized that Han is a monster with a terrifying talent in scout talent. Even beyond the Zhao of the year. When are you going to report in Anbu? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked Luhan again. He had never seen Luhan so pleasing to the eye. After Luhan passed the exam in the morning, Anbu Ninja reported to Sarutobi Hiruzen as soon as possible. It may take a few days, I plan to prepare again. Luhan said, although I have passed the exam. You go to Anbu tomorrow to report. Sarutobi Hiruzen interrupted Luhan. Don't show up in the village in the short term, I will let someone protect you. Okay, Luhan could only agree. After you enter Anbu, I will let someone send you something, you must keep it strictly confidential. Sarutobi Hiruzen said again. Luhan's eyes lit up, is it a forbidden technique scroll? Chapter-101-120 Want to slap myself. When Luhan and Tsunade left Sarutobi Hiruzen's residence, it was already dusk. Sarutobi Hiruzen asked Luhan to enter Anbu tomorrow, and warned Luhan a lot that Luhan was not allowed to leave Konoha in the short term, and he was not allowed to appear publicly in Konoha village, let alone perform missions. Sarutobi Hiruzen was protecting Luhan, but Luhan naturally accepted it. This is a good thing. Luhan felt the attention of Sarutobi Hiruzen, so that Luhan can get in touch with those things he wants faster. Those forbidden techniques are too expensive to exchange from the subversive space. If he can learn it through his own efforts, naturally excellent. Tsunade took Luhan back home secretly. Night gradually came. At Tsunade's house, candles were lit and placed in every corner of the room, and the room was still bright. There was a low table on the wooden floor. Luhan and Tsunade were facing each other, and the table was full of food. Luhan was eating, while Tsunade kept chattering. I tell you, you must remember that you must be humble when you enter Anbu. After all, you have no strength. Even if Lord Hokage values you, you will suffer from conflicts with others. Those guys in Anbu are not fuel efficient. Lamp, very proud. Got it. Also, if Anbu sends you out on a mission, you have to be careful. Although you are a special talent, you will be protected by other Anbu members, but the missions Anbu performs are usually extremely dangerous. Take it lightly. Got it. By the way, you can't leave the cultivation of strength, you must work hard, the strength can be stronger. Tsunade teacher. Luhan couldn't help but raised his head and looked at Tsunade helplessly. Do you think I'm stupid? Didn't you say this once on the way back? You're not old yet, how can you be like a neighborhood aunt? Bastard kid, I'm not doing it for you. Tsunade said fiercely. Okay. Luhan didn't argue, and immediately said again. Then let's get down to business, when will Captain Anbu be back? Not sure. Tsunade continued, but it should be very soon. This time, I will go after Uchiha Agumu's trace. If he doesn't find it, he can't keep looking outside. There are more important things for him to do. Don't worry, I promise you, I will do it. It took a long time to eat dinner. After dinner, Luhan went to the guest room on the second floor. In the room, it was only in the dead of night that Luhan was sure that Tsunade would not appear suddenly, so he waved his hand and placed hundreds of fallen objects on the long wooden slump. First kill all the drops of the level 25 diamond boss. Luhan quickly counted. There were more than 40 pieces of useless crude and sophisticated weapons, as well as C-level ninjutsu scrolls, small blue bottles, and small yuhi bottles, adding up to more than 30 pieces. These things Luhan should collect the collection. What should be used? Only more than 30 items are left on the wooden collapse. Yuanbao. A total of 15. Luhan was extremely pleasantly surprised. It's just crazy. With 15 ingots at a time, Luhan didn't have this kind of reward when he first killed a level 30 white silver boss. 18 left. Grade B ninjutsu scrolls, 9. 7 kinds of Sweeten, water style. A futon, wind style. A doton, earth style. For the first kill of the diamond boss, the explosion rate is 10 times higher when the first boss has a high explosion rate. Because the boss explosion rate is a hidden index, Luhan can't see it, but he can speculate that the explosion rate of various items should be close to 100% in the first kill of the diamond boss this time. That is to say, what can Zhaohai explode? Something is bound to come out. B-level ninjutsu is normally a skill that can only be mastered by Jonin. In particular, Jonin's comprehensive ability cannot reach the level of Jonin, but it is not impossible to master B-level martial arts. In fact, a 20-level gold boss may have mastered B-level martial arts, but the hand seal is slow. It is not so easy to use, just like the C-level art is a chunin to be a master, but a 10-level gold boss can also be a master. There are 9 drops left. Penultimate, S Whirlwind Shuriken, Penultimate, S Reflective Kunai, 2 penultimate class weapons. Secret Art Even Dress Up Art. Secret Art of Returning to Nothingness. Secret Art Bone Transformation. A bottle of psychoactive medicine. 3 diamond badges. Even the technique of dressing up and the technique of returning to nothing, Luhan obtained after killing a Megakure 44 ninjas before. The former is a ninjutsu for quick dressing. You can quickly complete the replacement through the hand seal. The technique of returning to nothing is a technique to restrain the breath, and it needs to be used in a static state. Osteolysis. Using the scroll, Luhan immediately knew that this was a disguised ninjutsu. After performing the bone transformation, he would enter a state of suspended animation, and the whole person would become a dead person from the inside to the outside, which was the technique of pretending to be dead. Luhan was naturally ecstatic when he got a bottle of spiritual potion. Normally, this is something that can only be obtained by killing Jonin. Diamond Badge. Elf, this is? Luhan asked in his heart, holding 3 white silver badges the size of fingernails. A badge used to exchange special items. Elf continued, diamond badges, only diamond bosses can drop them with probability, and Subversive 3665 is required to enter the subversive space to exchange. Because Subversive 3665 badges are insufficient, this badge exchange is not yet available. Unlock. That's why it's useless now. Luhan threw the 3 badges back into the space backpack. Since they can't be used, there is no need for research. Using the spirit potion, Luhan's total chakra increased by 1/6 again. Naturally, other things should be used and collected. Luhan's space backpack was really full, and he had to tidy it up to free up a little more space. Damn it! Just when Luhan closed the space backpack again, he patted his head suddenly, and he remembered something. Deprivation. After killing Zhaohai, he forgot to use deprivation. This is the diamond boss. Super rare enemy characters. Even forgot to use the deprivation technique. Luhan wanted to slap himself, maybe he missed something good. Oh, by the way. The 3rd generation said at that time. The corpse should be refrigerated first. Luhan thought again. Chapter-101-120 Anbu Station _. New day, early morning. Luhan woke up early after having not slept all night, had a simple breakfast with Tsunade, and went to Anbu's station under the leadership of Tsunade. The location of Anbu Station is very secluded, and very few people know about Anbu Station in the whole of Konoha. It's in the back mountain. The back mountain is very large, with forests and lakes, and a small river passing by, and the woods are very dense. The entire Haoshan forest is a forbidden area, guarded by Anbu ninjas around the clock, and no one is allowed to enter without permission. There are many important venues in the Haoshan forest, such as the Chunin exam site and the ninja training base. For ordinary ninjas of Konoha, the forest behind the mountain has always been covered with a veil of mystery. This forest is larger than the entire Konoha village in front of the mountain, and hides too many secrets of Konoha. It is a part of Konoha and exists independently of. Anbu Station is in the back mountain. Tsunade took Luhan into the back mountain forest and kept jumping forward. Luhan hadn't seen the whole picture of Haoshan Forest, and he didn't know the terrain, so he couldn't determine where he was. Passing through the vast forest with trees up to tens of meters high, passing a lake, Tsunade took Luhan several times to change direction and keep moving forward. There are traps in a lot of places, and we have to go around them, Tsunade explained. It took more than 10 minutes for Tsunade to bring Luhan to a huge stone somewhere in the forest of Haoshan. This blue stone is 6 or 7 meters high, 8 or 9 meters wide, and 20 in length. Placed at the foot of the mountain, covered with moss and vines, I don't know how long it has not been moved. Learn hand seal with me. Tsunade glanced at Luhan and said. Luhan immediately raised his hands. Tsunade would do whatever he did. 12 gesture changes. Anbu is just below our feet and in the low mountain behind, there is a lot of space. Tsunade continued, the seal just now is the seal for entering Anbu's station. You need to stand in front of this bluestone and hand seal. It will be replaced once a month, this time I will take you in, and if the seal is changed later, someone will naturally tell you. Quote. Understood. Luhan nodded. He didn't expect it would be so troublesome to enter the Anbu station. The location of the Anbu station was really mysterious. I'm in. Good. The two of them hand seal at the same time and disappear in front of the blue stone one after another. Anbu station. In the long passage, a torch is placed far apart on the stone walls on both sides, and the light is very dim. Luhan and Tsunade appeared at the end of the passage at the same time. Luhan looked back and saw that the back was blocked. Tsunade greeted Luhan, walked forward quickly, about 100 meters, the light in front of him was getting brighter and brighter, and it was the exit, where the light was extremely bright. When Tsunade took Luhan out of the passage, Luhan was stunned by the noisy voice and the figures. This is an underground grotto and a square with a large area. There were a lot of torches and there was plenty of light. Luhan saw more than 40 Anbu ninjas gathered everywhere, some with masks and some without. There are many facilities in the grotto square, including venues that can be used for competitions, equipment for physical training, and some facilities for ninjas to rest, eat and drink. Here, it's very different from what Luhan thought. Anbu is usually synonymous with power, danger, and mystery. Anbu ninja speaks very little, his voice is cold, he kills decisively, and he seems to have no feelings. Luhan had guessed before that Anbu's station should have a cold atmosphere, dim light, and taciturn ninjas. But Luhan was wrong. Anbu ninjas usually maintain this dual identity. When they are on public roads in the village, they have different identities, different personalities, different speeches and behaviors. Some are hot-tempered, some are naturally cold, and some are stupid. They have different natures. Although they must be ruthless and decisive when performing tasks as Anbu ninjas, since this is the Anbu station, they naturally don't need to pretend. Master Tsunade. Master Tsunade. Tsunade. After Tsunade brought Luhan into the cave plaza, many Anbu ninjas greeted Tsunade. They were all ninjas without masks, and some of them seemed to be not young or low level, and did not address them as adults. Others just glanced at Tsunade and said nothing. Tsunade often comes to Anbu, and he is not a big person who comes suddenly, so there is no need to go up to say hello every time. Yu Xuan. Tsunade nodded to the ninja who greeted him, and immediately waved his hand to a ninja who was standing in the distance and beside the sparring arena. There were 2 Anbu ninjas on the field, who seemed to be less than 20 years old. Young ninjas are watching. In Luhan's eyes, that person is the orange name. Captain Anbu's assistant, Sarutobi Yu Xuan. The last name is Sarutobi. Luhan thought. Sarutobi Yu Xuan heard Tsunade's greeting, looked back, and walked quickly to Tsunade, grinning, Sister Tsunade. After he finished speaking, he looked at Luhan again, and also smiled. You are Han, right? Father yesterday also mentioned to me, full of praise for your potential, but don't be proud, there are so many masters in Anbu, you are too young. Sarutobi Yu Xuan seems to be the kind of person who is easy to get along with. He has a straight temperament and says something, but makes people feel comfortable. This master's father is. Lu Han couldn't help asking, calling Tsunade his sister. So dear. Hokage. Tsunade answered. It's him. Lu Han was shocked. He knew who this person was. He was a character who was not mentioned by name in the original book but must exist. Sarutobi Hiruzen's eldest son. Sarutobi Asuma's older brother. Sarutobi Konoha Maru's father. No wonder Tsunade is called her sister. Tsunade has been practicing with Sarutobi Hiruzen since she was a few years old. She is not much older than Sarutobi Yushuin. She must have grown up with Sarutobi Yushuin. I've handed it over to you, I still have something to do. Tsunade looked at Lu Han and said to Sarutobi Yushuin. Okay. Sarutobi Yushuin nodded. Tsunade left, while Sarutobi Yushuin led Lu Han to the passageway at the other end of the cave. I have a question, Lu Han said suddenly. What? Is Zhaohai's body still there? Can I go and check again? Check what? Sarutobi Yushuin tilted his head to look at Lu Han. Chapter-101-120 meet Shimura again. The two walked into the passage in the depths of the cave, walking side by side and talking. Just to see if there is any doubt. Lu Han frowned. I heard Lord Hokage talk about Zhaohai yesterday, so I want to see if I can find anything. Because Sarutobi Yushuin has no heir at all, so Lu Han spoke casually. No problem. Sarutobi Yushuin put his arms around his shoulders, nodded and said, the body is in the cold storage. Originally, we were going to perform an autopsy. You can come together then. Okay. It's troublesome. Lu Han smiled. No trouble, this is my job. Sarutobi Yushuin said. Sir, who are you? Lu Han followed Sarutobi Yushuin's words and asked, you are Lord Hokage's son, you must be very powerful, right? I'm still a long way off. Sarutobi Yushuin raised his hand and touched his nose unnaturally, laughing at himself. I'm just Jonin, the captain of Anbu's assistant. My father asked me to come here. My job is mainly in charge of Anbu internal day-to-day affairs, rarely going out to perform tasks. Quote. Jonin, very powerful. I dream of becoming a Jonin. Lu Han's eyes lit up immediately, and he said exaggeratedly. Your dreams will come true. Sarutobi Yushuin said. The two stopped talking. Lu Han finally glanced at Sarutobi Yushuin, and stopped looking at it. He could understand why Sarutobi Yushuin laughed at himself, because his father Sarutobi Hiruzen was Hokage. He is the most powerful ninja in Konoha and even in the entire country of fire, and one of the few people standing at the top of the entire ninja world. And Sarutobi Yushuin, the son of Sarutobi Hiruzen, is still just Jonin now. If it weren't for his father being Hokage, he would certainly not be able to take on the extremely important role of Captain Anbu's assistant. He had embarrassed Sarutobi Hiruzen, whether others thought so or not, he felt so. Sarutobi Hiruzen was much stronger than him at his age. Being Hokage's son is stressful. Being arrogant. Lu Han thought of this word, and it can be seen from Sarutobi Hiruzen's placement of his son as the captain of Anbu's assistant, that he attaches great importance to his son, and maybe he has the idea of letting his son monitor every move inside Anbu. Captain Anbu must be someone with great strength. But the captain's assistant is not the case, and it can even have no strength and act as a think tank. Example, the current Konoha executives, those important cronies around Sarutobi Hiruzen, Homura Mitokado, Kaharu Utatane. They are the same age as Sarutobi Hiruzen, but their strength is far worse, but they are the real power figures in Konoha and have great power. Even in the selection and removal of Hokage, he has the right to speak. At the end of the passage, there are two doors on the left and right. Sarutobi Yushuin pushed open the door on the right and led Lu Han in. It is a grotto room with this long table and bookcase, and behind the table is an Anbu ninja with a mask. Seeing Sarutobi Yushuin entering the door, the ninja quickly stood up and called out, Sir, coldly. He's here to report. Sarutobi Yushuin walked to the table and said. Han, ninja number 5999, Genin. Lu Han knew what to say. I have experienced my body. Sarutobi Yushun said again. The registration process is very simple. Sign on the scroll, and then seal the scroll. The sealed scroll is to be handed over to Captain Anbu. No one knows how Captain Anbu will deal with it. It may be handed over to Hokage. Even internally, Anbu adopts a system of secrecy. Only Captain Anbu and Hokage know the list of all Anbu members. The ninjas responsible for registration are also changed every few days. Since there are a large number of Anbu ninjas performing tasks all year round, ninjas come and go, and they will not gather at the same time. Anbu is stationed there, so how many ninjas there are in Anbu is also a secret. Except for Hokage and Captain Anbu, Anbu's other ninjas only know a small group of ninjas and know who they are. No one knows everything. In theory, unless Anbu rebels collectively, these secret things will always be secrets. Lu Han completed the check-in and received a set of Anbu's exclusive ninja suit. Ninja suits, capes, black robes, boots, masks, etc. Holding the ninja suit, Lu Han and Sarutobi Yushun left the cave room together. After returning to the cave square again, Sarutobi Yushun took Lu Han to the passage in the other direction. The Anbu station is built underground with Yamanaka, and it really extends in all directions. Sarutobi Yushun brought Lu Han to the residential area, gave Lu Han an independent grotto room as his residence, and told Lu Han to take a look here, but do not push the door that cannot be opened, and then leave. Lu Han never left the room. He was waiting for Sarutobi Yushun to come to him. An hour later, Sarutobi Yushun came and agreed to let Lu Han check the body. It was Sarutobi Yushun again who led the way, returning to the square first, and then going to another passage that Lu Han had never been to. The square caves connected a total of 7 passages, and Lu Han only walked through 2. Anbu cold storage. It's really cold. Inside, a seal formation that can emit cold air is arranged, and many coffins are placed. When Lu Han and Sarutobi Yushun entered the cold storage cave, 7 or 8 people had gathered in the cold storage, and one of them was named Yuhi. Shimura Fire Store. He was also there. Lu Han didn't see him when he passed by the square a few times before. This time Shimura didn't wear a mask. Lu Han saw his face. He was about 40 years old, with a beard on his chin, a hooked nose, and a cold temperament. It's this little guy, Genin, who will enter Anbu. He's really daring and not afraid of death. It's really young. It's been a long time since I've seen such a young kid. Can't say the same. What happened to Genin? Since Lord Hokage chose him, there must be a reason. Humph. What's the reason? What level of dangerous mission did we Anbu perform? What's the difference between having no strength and courting death? That's not true. Several Anbu ninjas began to criticize Lu Hanpin without lowering their voices, as if they didn't care what Lu Han would think. Lu Han glanced at them and said nothing. Quarrel with NPCs. Pull the corpse out. Sarutobi Yushun said directly without saying anything. Chapter-101-120 questioned cold. There are more than 100 coffins in the cold storage, some are large, some are small, and some are stacked on top of each other. Hearing Sarutobi Yushun's order, 2 ninjas immediately stepped forward, jumped to the top of the 3-story stacked coffin, held the top horizontal coffin back and forth, and jumped down again. The bodies here are all. Lu Han asked Sarutobi Yushun. My own people, enemies, ninja beasts. Some are temporarily refrigerated and destroyed after dissection, while others are refrigerated for a long time and used for some experiments. Sarutobi Yushun explained. The lid of the coffin opened, exuding cold air, and Zhaohai's body lay flat inside. Zhaohai, it's really him. The ninjas gathered around the coffin, but Shimura Hozo spoke first, with a hoarse voice. Lu Han thought his hoarse voice was a disguise, but he didn't expect it to be true. After Lu Han entered the cold storage, Lu Han and Shimura Huazang just glanced at each other and didn't look any further. Lu Han wanted to pretend he didn't know Shimura Hozo. The last time he saw Shimura Hozo, he was wearing a mask. Shimura Huazang was very calm, as if he had no ill will towards Lu Han. Master knows him, a ninja asked immediately after hearing Shimura's words. He is the myth of Anbu. When I first entered Anbu, he was already the second Anbu captain. Shimura looked at the corpse and said, he is the same age as Sarutobi Hiruzen, who has joined Anbu for more than 10 years. One of the very few people in Anbu who still knows Zhao. His strength is very poor, and he was only genin until the mutiny, but he is a master of disguise. At the end of the First Ninja War, he once disguised as a businessman and entered the country of Wind, and got a copy by himself. Important information about the strategic trends of the Land of Wind, and before that, we Anbu had sent several Jonin and an elite Jonin into the Land of Wind to try to get that information, but ended up with 2 deaths and 3 injuries. Quote. Everyone listened carefully, including Sarutobi Yushuan. He didn't know much about Zhao, and Sarutobi Hiruzen told him, after all, he was still young. He is a genius performer. But disguise is only one of his abilities. He also masters trace tracking, intelligence analysis, tactical formulation, and detoxification. Now Anbu has created many non-combat assassination methods. Until before his betrayal, he had never missed. No one had ever seen through his disguise. Including Lord Hokage. There were even rumors at that time that because the old captain was injured and might retire, he might take over as captain of Anbu. It's also a coincidence that Lord Hokage's trap plan is not aimed at him. Just a coincidence. After Shimura finished speaking, there was silence in the cold room, and they all looked at Zhao body and were speechless. Shocked. Anbu ninjas were present, so they knew how difficult and unimaginable the things that Zhao did. You can actually see through his disguise and kill him. It's really powerful. Shimura Huazang suddenly looked at Lu Han and said. Lu Han was stunned. This guy actually praised me. What about maliciousness? Everyone looked at Lu Han at once, followed by a piercing sound. Isn't it? What did this kid do? I thought Lord Hokage did something secretly. Just rely on him. Hozo-sama, are you kidding me? Although the previous inside information is like this, how is this possible? I thought it was because of Anbu's secrecy regulations that the action was classified as top secret, so I put the blame on him. Have you seen through Zhao disguise? Myth of Anbu, this name is not random. It's not impossible. Question. Still doubting. There was only one person who spoke to Lu Han in an uncertain tone, but his voice was very low, and he was mostly suspicious. 12-year-old Lu Han had just entered Anbu. He was young, weak, and had no status. These Anbu ninjas wouldn't even look at Lu Han's face when they spoke. They didn't care whether Lu Han's face looked good or not. Trick me. Lu Han's expression remained unchanged, and he glanced at Shimura. No wonder he took the initiative to praise, it was for this. Don't be noisy, let's do an autopsy. Sarutobi Yushuan said. A sudden silence, and no one dared to say anything. Although Sarutobi Yushuan was just an ordinary Jonin, he was not yet 20 years old, but he was the captain's assistant and Hokage's son, and he had a great deal of weight throughout Anbu. You check first. Let's see what you can find. Shimura said hoarsely, looking at Lu Han. No, he didn't cheat on me, he wanted information about me. Lu Han suddenly reacted. Shimura just wanted Lu Han's information, he wanted to know if Lu Han was really that capable. Taking the initiative to say that Lu Han was fighting Zhao caused others to question Lu Han, and then asked Lu Han to conduct an autopsy. Normally, at this time, Lu Han would definitely show his skills, and find the time when he was just questioned. Lost face. Shimura can also know what Lu Han is capable of. Well, I'll take a look first. Lu Han didn't shirk, his face was calm. Show it off. In this respect, Lu Han is not afraid of being known at all. On the contrary, the more Lu Han shows, the more respected and safer he will be. Appraisal, Lu Han said in his heart, reaching for Zhao Hai's collar. Chakra was consumed in an instant, and the words only Lu Han could see appeared on the top of Zhao Hai's shirt, the country of wind fine silk jacket. Lu Han looked at Zhao Hai's clothes, belts, rings, and boots at random. He walked around the coffin, but all of them were appraisal. Fortunately, Lu Han had a lot of chakra at this time. These common items do not need to consume much chakra. Little devil, what are you doing? If you can see anything, you will be damned. A ninja who had been talking badly before couldn't help but said. Lu Han raised his head and looked at the young ninja named Kato Kai. His hands seemed to be completely on Zhao Hai's body unintentionally, triggering the deprivation technique. Ding! Deprivation is successful, get the Book of Disguise. Ding! Deprivation of success, get the Book of Poison. Ding! Deprivation success, get Psychopharmacology. The elf's prompts sounded one after another in Lu Han's mind. Chapter-101-120 show it off. Ding! Deprivation failed. Ding! Deprivation failed. Ding! Can't take away, can't take away, can't take away. For 10 ingots can deprive the boss 5 times in a row, and get a maximum of 1 item each time, and can deprive the non-boss 10 times in a row, and you can only get at most 1 item each time. 5 times, there are 3 times to deprive the item. The probability of success is a bit high. Lu Han thought and asked the elf, Elf, the success rate of deprivation is so high this time, is it because he is a diamond boss? About. Yes, diamond bosses have the highest probability of being deprived of items, followed by gold bosses. The success rate of non-boss deprivation is extremely low, the elf replied. Sure enough, it was exactly as Lu Han thought. Lu Han kept looking at Kato Kai, and naturally couldn't speak when communicating with the elves. Little brat, what do you mean? Stare at me. Kato folded his arms across his chest with a sneering look. You brats started offending seniors as soon as you entered Anbu. You were really brave enough to let go. Don't stay there. It's in the way. In fact, Lu Han's expression was very calm and indifferent. No matter what others said, he always looked like this. Full of ignorance. Very annoying. Lu Han ignored Kato Kai's question again, turned his head to look at Zhao Hai's body again, and continued to speak at a slow pace. Clothes are produced in the country of wind, silk and satin fabrics, and the country of wind is a desert country. There are very few places where silk can be produced, and generally this kind of fabric is only sold in Sunagakure village, the land of winds. The boots are from the land of water, made of thin sea whale animal skin. It is impossible to determine whether it is a ninja animal, but whether it is or not, the price of this kind of leather boots is extremely high. The degree is high, especially in the center of the sole, indicating that he often steps on tree branches. He should have come directly from the rainy country where it rains all the year round with these boots, not on foot. The belt is a ninja tool, the place of origin is unknown. When I touched it, I felt that the flow of chakra in my body slowed down. It is speculated that it can control the flow of chakra in his body. Detected he was a ninja. The ring is pure gold, but it also has poison, which is convenient for poisoning. The shirt is also a ninja tool. It was produced in Konoha village, the country of fire. Judging from the wear marks on the collar, it should have been bought after he arrived in Konoha. It can defend against a certain degree of sharp weapon attacks. In fact, it is not great use. The ninja can easily pierce with a knife. He bought this ninja tool just to show that he has money. His body contains trace amounts of toxins. I'm very sensitive to toxins. I can feel it when I touch his skin. This trace amount of toxins are not fatal. Even ordinary people can't hurt. His kiba teeth are not very good, and the 2 kiba were replaced with gold kiba. It is speculated that he once took poison by mouth and conducted anti-poison experiments on himself. He should be immune to most poisons by now, so he can kill people with poison, but when he comes into contact with those poisons, no problem. The pendant on his waist is the Yuhi blood jade pendant. In Lu Han's eyes, the pendant on Zhao Hai's waist was displayed as Yuhi blood jade pendant, a special product of the land of wind no wear and tear. There is wear, because it is a valuable jewelry pendant, whether it is worn or not will represent its value. Yuhi blood jade should be a special kind of jade in the land of wind, and this pendant is not worn, indicating that he has not worn it for a long time. On the whole, his clothes and pendants are from the land of wind, and the silk and satin clothes are not suitable for wearing in the land of wind, which is always hot, and the pendant is not worn. And the boots are from the land of water, too thick and too thick. It is not suitable for wearing in the country of wind, so it is concluded that these dressing things on his body may be sold and stored first, and then replaced when he is on a mission. He did not take a detour to the country of fire, but directly from the land of rain has set off for the land of fire, and within a few days, otherwise the pendant cannot be without wear and tear. That's all. I don't know anatomy, you guys do the rest. After Lu Han finished speaking, he retreated to Sarutobi Yushuan's side with a calm expression. The cold room was completely silent, all of them staring wide-eyed. When Lu Han was standing on the side of the coffin, they looked at Lu Han. Lu Han retreated to Sarutobi Yushuan, and they all followed the past, still watching. What Lu Han said, it's just nonsense. I have never heard of one that can directly analyze the origin of clothes and infer conclusions. He also said the truth. Unbelievable, but what Lu Han said was the same as the truth, and came to the final conclusion that Zhaohai was the village of Konoha, the land of fire, that came directly from the land of rain a few days ago. Of course Lu Han knew. Because Lu Han had only been to the land of rain 7 or 8 days ago. It took only 5 or 6 days to kill the 44 ninjas in the land of rain. Taking into account the time of the news and the distance between Amegakure village and Konoha village, it was fast enough for Zhao Haineng to arrive at Konoha village and assassinate Lu Han yesterday. If he detours again, it is impossible at all. He simply couldn't get to Konoha so quickly. Reverse inference is really not too easy. Little brat, don't talk nonsense here. Who do you think you are? Even our most brilliant analyst at Anbu would not be able to draw such a comprehensive conclusion without auxiliary tools. It was Kato crack again, because he questioned Lu Han the most before, and he was ruthless. After Lu Han said a lot, it was the same as the real thing, and he couldn't hang on his face. My name is Han. Lu Han glanced at Kato Kai and said that he felt it was necessary to remind him that although Kato Kai has always been an orange name, it was really annoying. Come here. At this moment, an old man with a white beard rushed into the cold storage in a hurry, holding a large open box in his hand, which was full of various pieces of fabric. Each piece of fabric there is also a label on it, stating the origin and ingredients. Sir, compare it quickly, this kid just talked nonsense here. Kato cracked anxiously. Chapter-101-120 Senju Luo Jian. This white-bearded old man looked to be over 70 years old, wearing a gray-white long-distance runner, with sleeves on his arms, and chakra fluctuations on his body, indicating that he was a ninja. In Lu Han's eyes, the top of his head is displayed as Anbu Identification Analysis Expert, Senju Luojian. Since it is shown as an analysis expert, it should be a non-combat member, and it is easy to explain how to live so old. I'm sorry, I just forgot the time during the test. Senju Luojian's expression was a little dazed, a little abnormal, and he had already arrived in front of the coffin, put the box in the corner, and saw Zhaohai's corpse. His eyes suddenly condensed. You're finally dead. Damn it. Shameless thing. You're as fat as a pig, why didn't you die sooner? Senju Luojian was suddenly very excited, went up and slapped Zhaohai a few times in the face. Lord Luojian. Sir. Several Anbu ninjas around were stunned, and some even went to Luojian, for fear that Luojian would destroy the corpse. Kakakai used to be Lord Rajian's disciple. Shimura Hozo explained. He is the captain of the squad in Anbu. He is second only to the captain and the captain's assistant. There are only a few people on the same level as him. His position is higher than that of Senju Luojian, but Senju Luojian's qualifications are too old. Too tall. He became famous in the Sengoku era, and even Hokage has to be polite and not put on airs when he sees it. The old man also seemed to have a violent temper. Even when everyone was dead, he started to fight, and the ninjas around him managed to hold him back. Humph! Senju Luojian finally snorted coldly, and after a few breaths, he was relieved a lot, and immediately looked around and asked urgently, "Yes, yes, did the little guy who killed Zhao come? Yesterday Hiruzen told me at night. Is he coming?" All of a sudden, his eyes turned to Lu Han. Senju Luojian immediately looked over, suddenly stepped forward and grabbed Lu Han's hand, shaking and excitedly said, "Beautiful job. Nice job. Good job." Lu Han was a little embarrassed. He paused before saying, "The old man has a lot of strength." The cold room was silent again, including Shimura's eyes widened, looking at Lu Han's expression of "your kid's death." Senju Luojian hates people saying he is old the most. He just doesn't get old. "Oh, no, 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 old. You can't compare with young people." Senju Luojian's reaction surprised everyone. He smiled kindly and waved to Lu Hanlian. "In the future, this world of ninja will be your young people's world." Quote. "No way, Lu Han killed Zhao Hai." Senju Luojian looked at Lu Han too much. "Sir, let's start checking." Kato Kai couldn't help but said again, "Just now this kid is talking nonsense here. What he said is the same as the truth. We don't understand this, it's hard to refute him. You can take a look." "Don't be called a kid, the Lord is here." However, he saw someone next to Kato. Kato rubbed Kato's shoulder and reminded in a low voice that this person's appearance was somewhat similar to Kato, and the name Lu Han saw was Kato Feng. It seems that Kato and Kato are brothers of the same family, not blood brothers or cousins. It was Kato Feng who had spoken to Lu Han before. It was the only ninja in the cold room who looked at Lu Han with no doubts, but Kato had always questioned Lu Han the most. The characters of the brothers were really different. "What did he say?" Senju Luojian glanced at Lu Han again before looking at Kato Kai again. "He said." Kato quickly recounted Lu Han's observation and analysis results. Lu Han only said it before, and he naturally remembered it clearly, and there was no omission. Senju Luojian's face changed, and he looked at Lu Han again, his expression suddenly a little disappointed. "Hey, you're still too young. Although Hiruzen said that you are talented and may surpass the jerk Zhao Hai of the year, after all. Young people should be more rigorous. Don't jump to conclusions. One mistake may lead to an overall error, and then get the wrong result. You. Senju Luojian gave a preaching tone, sighed and looked at the corpse in the coffin. "I'll do it." Senju Luojian rolled up his sleeves and began to examine Zhao Hai's body. "The clothes are from the Land of Winds, and the material is produced in the Sandless Valley of the Land of Winds, which is the only place in the Land of Winds that can produce silk. It is controlled by the village of Sunagakur." "Well, yes, you were right. The shirt belongs to our country of fire, so it's easy to recognize. The boots are. Let me compare." Senju Luojian is very experienced. Some materials can be seen at a glance, some are not. The most difficult to directly see is animal skins. There are too many types. Senju Luojian rummaged through the box, took out 4 small pieces of animal skin for comparison, and finally determined. "It's the whale and animal skins of the water country." Having said that, Senju Luojian couldn't help but glance at Lu Han, and Lu Han was right again. "The ring is hard gold from the Land of Rain." Senju Luojian took off the large gold ring on Zhao Hai's left hand, looked inside and out, and took out a scroll from the box and unfolded it, placing the ring on in the middle of the reel. "Ninja, anti-drug technique." Following Senju Luojian's hand seal, the scroll cloth covered with black incantations glowed with white light, and within 3 seconds, a trace of green appeared in the white light. Senju Luojian's face changed, and he suddenly turned to look Shang Lu Han. "Really poisonous." "Chronic poison," Lu Han answered. The eyes of the people in the cold storage changed when they looked at Lu Han, especially Shimura's eyes flashed when they looked at Lu Han. Senju Rama started checking again. "The belt is a ninja tool, and its weakness slows down the flow of chakra. It will not affect the ninja's skills. It can only form a certain cover to prevent it from being detected by the eye skills. The pendant is Yuhi blood jade. and the raw material is produced from the jade stone of Sunagakure village in the country of wind. Mine. Senju Luojian couldn't continue, and suddenly turned to look at Lu Han again. There was silence in the cold room. A newcomer to Anbu, checked it first, without any tools, and came to an unbelievable conclusion. Senju Luojian, a respected expert in Anbu's identification and analysis, also conducted an inspection afterwards, and with the help of tools, he came to the same conclusion as Lu Han. Judgment. Chapter-101-120 It's not a judgment call. Because of this level of inspection, it is impossible to measure how capable Lu Han is, let alone all of Senju Luojian's abilities. Although Senju Luojian used tools to come to his conclusion was more accurate, while Lu Han could only vaguely say the place of origin. Such a difference. It proves that Lu Han has a terrifying talent. But there is no experience with Senju Luoma. Anbu ninja in the cold room feel terrified, including Senju Luojian. Han is only 12 years old. Only 12. How did you do it? How could you know so many things? Senju Luojian's voice was unpleasant, and his eyes were full of unbelief when he looked at Lu Han. Almost 2 months ago, Mr. Tsunade discovered my talent. Lu Han began to babble. I said I knew everyone in Konoha, but she didn't believe it, so she tested it, and I won. After that, I began to pay attention to this ability, the super memory, the ability to observe details. For a month, I walked all over the streets of Konoha, went to hundreds of shops, and looked at different materials. What is the difference between the ninja and the difference in the texture of the animal skin? The ninja world has been peaceful for more than 10 years. Konoha is the trade hub of the ninja world. In those shops, I can see goods from various countries. I can remember how those materials are different. That's all. What Lu Han said is unbelievable for ordinary people, but when dealing with geniuses, you can't think with ordinary people's thinking. Konoha does have products from all over the world, but there are few finished products, such as the sea animal skins from the land of water. In Konoha, there are only leathers and no finished products. This is because of the production process. Only the land of water has the best craftsmanship. This craft does not shift position due to frequent trade. Therefore, the leather boots made of sea animal leather in the land of water, as long as the workmanship is high level, must be produced in the land of water. If the workmanship is poor, it is not necessarily, and it may be made anywhere. The clothes on Zhaohai are all high-quality goods with excellent workmanship, and it can be concluded that they are all from the origin of the raw materials. This is also in line with his disguised identity. He disguised as a vulgar and rich big businessman, and he must travel to and from various countries all year round. When Lu Han and Sarutobi Yushuan left the cold storage, an autopsy of Zhaohai's corpse had already begun in the cold storage. Through the autopsy, we could analyze how many dark wounds there were on Zhaohai's body and how the meridians were going, so as to infer Zhaohai's experience. Few of the hostile scout ninjas who have been killed have this kind of treatment, but Kakakai is too special. Father really has a unique vision. The two walked side by side. Sarutobi Yushuan still looked like he didn't slow down. He saw Lu Han's ability, but he also admired Sarutobi Hiruzen as a father even more, because it was Sarutobi Hiruzen who made Lu Han enter Anbu as genin. Sir, can I ask a question? Lu Han said suddenly. What? Sarutobi Yushuan quickly replied. Why do many ninjas still wear masks? Since this is a station, why? Oh, you said they. In the Anbu station, those who wear masks have a special identity. You know that many of our Anbu ninjas are selected into Anbu only after they have strength, and those who wear masks all the time are selected by Anbu. They have been cultivated since childhood, and some even have no identity in the village and never show up in the village. Their identities are kept secret at the highest level, and only the captain and my father know who they are and how many they are. Quote. So it is. Lu Han nodded, which reminded him of the root, which is the case with all the root ninjas. But come to think of it, the ninjas like Anbu, who have been trained since childhood, should be emotional, or living people. After all, there are a group of normal people around, and the rude ones, it can be said that they are no longer human, but emotionless killing machines. Wait a minute. A shout suddenly came from behind. Luhan and Sarutobi Yushuan stopped and looked back, only to see that it was Senju Luojian who rushed out of the cold storage, with a knife and gloves in his hand, blood all over it. He gave Zhaohai an autopsy by himself, and he couldn't bear it after just a few cuts, because Luhan is really a genius. You, call me Han, right? Be my apprentice. I'll teach you. I'll pass on all my skills to you. How's it going? Senju Luojian rushed to Luhan, his eyes shining eagerly. Sarutobi Yushuan looked startled, followed by ecstasy. Senju Luojian has not brought an apprentice for more than 10 years. It is speculated that Zhaohai's betrayal has made him disheartened. Over the past 10 years, he has occasionally been able to give pointers to other Anbu ninja. If he does start taking apprentices again, it will be great for Anbu and Konoha. No need, I don't like being controlled very much. Learn from each other. Let's learn from each other. Luhan smiled. Sarutobi Yushuan suddenly stared at the boss and looked at Luhan. Even refused. How dare you say such arrogant words as, learning from each other? Senju Luojian's face quickly sank, and he stared at Luhan in dissatisfaction, and finally snorted. Humph, arrogant little guy, you'll regret it. I'll wait for the day you come to beg me. If you don't apologize to me, well then, I won't accept you. Senju Luojian said something childish. The so-called old man, the child is talking about an old man like him. Speaking, Senju Luojian turned his back and walked towards the cold storage, muttering along the way, the little devils really don't care about the elderly at all. Times have changed, it's really unreasonable, Luhan watched the old man leave, thoughtfully, thinking that after today's incident, no one in Anbu would dare to question his ability at will. The position is stable, it's time to start climbing. Do you know who he is? Sarutobi Yushuan asked in a hoarse voice, as if his throat was a little dry. Who? He is the cousin of Lord Hokage Senju Hashirama, the first generation, and the cousin of Lord Senju Tobarama, the second generation. Even my father has to call him uncle when he sees him. You offend him like this. He has a very strange temper and is highly respected in Anbu. You'd better ask for your own blessings. Sarutobi Yushuan looked at Luhan with a look of, you're done, run for your life. Chapter 0115 _ Brothers. Anbu Station, noon. After Sarutobi Yushuan and Luhan left the cold storage, they took Luhan around the entire Anbu station. At noon, the two came to the cave cafeteria. The food was very rich. Because it was meal time, Anbu stayed at the station. Almost all the ninjas came. There are only more than 60 people. Looking at a large number of orange names, there is only one Yuhi name, and that is Shimura. It's him. I heard he's still a genin, that's amazing. It's just too arrogant to dare to refuse Lord Luojian. He's only 12 years old, and arrogance is inevitable. When he suffers, he should understand. Humph, it's just genin, what's there to brag about? Really amazing. As soon as Luhan sat down, he heard a discussion about himself, some admired, and disdained. I think the news about the cold storage in the morning has already spread. There are very few people in Anbu, and an important message will soon reach everyone's ears. Ignore them. Sarutobi Yushuan, who was sitting opposite, whispered, these guys chew their tongues when they have nothing to do, they are all idle. Well, I understand. Luhan nodded. A familiar voice suddenly sounded behind Luhan. Luhan glanced back, somewhat surprised. It was Kato Feng and Kato Kai. Before in the cold storage, Kato Feng never ridiculed Luhan, and even spoke to Luhan, while Kato Kai ridiculed Luhan a lot. He was the one who talked the most and had a very stubborn attitude. Began to doubt Luhan, and doubted to the end. What's wrong? Luhan glanced at the two and asked. Both of them were over 20 years old, older than Tsunade. Master Han, I am Kato Feng. Kato Feng said with a smile. Lu Han is Tsunade's disciple. For ordinary ninjas in Konoha, it is normal to be called master, but for Anbu ninjas, it is not so polite. A few hours ago, Kato Feng saw that Lu Han would definitely not call him young master, but after going through the cold storage, he admired Lu Han. This is my brother, 1 year older than me, my brother. Kato Feng said and raised his hand to put his hand on the shoulder of the person next to him. He has something to say to young Master Han. Kato Kai looked very embarrassed, and he was so embarrassed that he hesitated, and some dared not look into Lu Han's eyes. The cafeteria suddenly became much quieter, and many Anbu ninjas looked up at Lu Han's situation. Are you looking for trouble? The captain's assistant is sitting on the side. I really dare. I don't know who whispered it. In fact, many Anbu ninjas think so because they know Kato Kai. Born in the Kato clan of the Konoha clan, he graduated from the ninja school at the age of 10, became a chunin at the age of 13, became a jonin at the age of 16, and joined Anbu in the same year. Although the 22-year-old Kato is currently not an elite jonin, the gap is not small, but as long as he doesn't die in battle, he will surely become an elite jonin in the future. There is no doubt about Kato's talent, so he is also extremely arrogant. He dares to say and do anything. A year ago, he had a conflict with a certain team captain because of something, and then launched a challenge. Under the witness of the captain, although he failed in the duel with the squad leader, no one laughed at him, because Kato was still young, and his strength was still growing, never stagnant. Sarutobi Yushuin is stationed in Anbu. Although the master has the right second only to the captain, he is a kind person. As long as the ninja can fulfill his orders, he doesn't care about other things. Kato took a deep breath and looked at Lu Han with a firm look. He suddenly lowered his head and bowed to Lu Han. I'm really sorry. I was wrong when I was in the cold storage. I shouldn't have said those words. Quote. There was silence in the cafeteria, and several pairs of chopsticks that were not held firmly fell on the table. The boss of many people looked at Kato Kai and then at Lu Han. Kato Kai is actually apologizing. More and more people turned their attention from Kato Kai to Lu Han, and they immediately understood why. Only a very few ninjas saw Lu Han's performance in the cold storage, and the others were heard later, and word of mouth was bound to be inaccurate. Of course they don't have that kind of shock. Kato Crack has. It is conceivable that Kato Kai must have been convinced by Lu Han's ability, so he apologized. Lu Han was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect Kato Crack to be like this. He is also a man who dares to act. Lien waved his hands and said, I accept your apology, come and sit down and eat together, it's all a misunderstanding. Of course Lu Han would not care about Kato, because this guy has always been an orange name, and no matter how embarrassed he is, he has no intention of hurting Lu Han. It's just a bad mouth. Kato brothers greeted Sarutobi Yushuin and said Lord, and then sat down one after another. Lu Han's first lunch in Anbu was spent in a relaxed atmosphere. It only took him less than half a day to establish himself in Anbu. At lunch, Kato Kai was a little embarrassed at first, but after that, he calmed down, talked more, and said some shrill words. Master Han, although your talent is great, it's better to improve in terms of combat strength, otherwise it's really too dangerous. I didn't say that, young Master Han, you are too thin. If you go out with your body, you will easily be blown away by the wind. Actually, you shouldn't reject Lord Luojian. Lord Luojian's popularity is so bad that he poured his anger on us during the autopsy, saying that we got in the way, and even Lord Huazang could not avoid being scolded. If you don't use something like talent, it will be wasted. You should really apologize to Lord Luojian. Maybe it's because Kato Kai's character is like that, a very unpleasant character, and things he doesn't approve of must be talked about. Lu Han understood that he could only deal with it helplessly. After lunch, Lu Han returned to his cave room. After closing the door and walking to the long tree, Lu Han waved his hand and the tree collapsed, and there were 3 more things, which were deprived of Zhao Hai's body. Lu Han first picked up the bottle, which was a psychoactive potion, and drank it in one gulp. There are two things left, the white scroll and the dark Yuhi scroll. The Book of Disguise. The Book of Poisons. Chapter-101-120 Pervert. _ These two kinds of scrolls are not related to ninjutsu, so Luhan didn't know what they were used for. Elf, what are these two pieces? Luhan first picked up the white scroll. What's the use of this book called the Book of Disguise? If so, it's the same as the use of ninjutsu scrolls. The wizard replied, the effect is that after Subversive 3665 uses such scrolls, he will gain 50% of the corresponding abilities of the original owner of the scroll's abilities. It means, Luhan's eyes widened slightly, I use the camouflage technique, and I will gain 50% of Zhaohai's camouflage ability. Isn't that so? Yes, said the elf. Would you like to pervert like this? Luhan was a little frightened. He's talking about deprivation, which is simply pervert's ability. To be able to deprive this ability from a corpse. This ability is equivalent to combat awareness, experience in ninjutsu, or a habit. This is an ability that takes years to acquire. Luhan never thought that he would get a scroll that directly enhances this ability. It is as if Luhan obtained Kaiden fire-style ninjutsu abilities with a scroll, such as Feng Xianhuo. Luhan has raised Feng Xianhuo to the highest level of LV9, but what Luhan has improved is the power of ninjutsu. His hand seal speed did not become faster because his ninjutsu level reached LV9, and his ninjutsu casting reaction speed did not become faster because of this. This is something that he needs to keep practicing for years and months and keep practicing assiduously in order to improve. If you want the hand seal to be faster, to react more quickly in battle, and use Kaiden fire-style ninjutsu to counterattack, Luhan needs to hone and fight again and again to improve those. The same is true of camouflage ability, which requires years of experience to accumulate to improve the ability. But at this moment, Luhan was holding a scroll that could improve his camouflage ability. How is this possible? Luhan couldn't believe it, and suddenly opened the scroll. The world in Luhan's eyes suddenly changed. It was like a room full of white light, with light and shadow floating in all directions, one after another, as if he was interpreting Zhaohai's life. It was the scene where Kakai used his camouflage ability to perform missions time and time again. Other scenes in the picture are blurry, only Zhaohai is so real. Luhan saw how Zhaohai did it, how he avoided tracking, how he stood in front of a powerful enemy and talked and laughed. Luhan not only saw, and keep all this in mind. Luhan knew what Zhaohai had done. He saw it and remembered it. He turned Zhaohai's successful experience again and again into his own. His camouflage ability has also improved as a result. I don't know how long it took, maybe just a moment, but Luhan remembered too many things, and those visions disappeared. Luhan couldn't wait to open the poison book scroll again. It was the same piece of white light, and there were also countless light and shadows, but the picture changed to Zhaohai's process of developing poison and antidote. Soon, the vision disappeared again. Luhan's expression was blank and a little shocked. In fact, he doesn't need to pay attention to remember those pictures. Because those images involving experience were forced into his mind, he passively remembered them all. Although it is only 50% of Zhaohai's camouflage ability and poison ability, Zhaohai is a character known as Anbu Myth, and 50% of his abilities are also skills that ordinary people can't imagine. After a long time, Luhan finally came back to his senses, and excitement rose from his heart. Elves, deprivation techniques. Can you deprive scrolls of this special ability? No, most of the ninjas in this world do not have high enough auxiliary abilities, so they cannot be deprived. Secondly, the object that Subversive 3655 deprived before was the Diamond Boss, so the reward for successful deprivation is extraordinary. Then, what exactly can you get from deprivation? Can you get a ninjutsu scroll? Maybe deprived of anything, even a potion of rejuvenation. But why did I only get special ability scrolls and spiritual potions from Zhaohai, no ninjutsu, and no weapons? Because the explosion rate of the first diamond boss is too high. For example, a level 30 bronze boss, assuming that he can only drop at most 2B level ninjutsu scrolls, and when he is killed, only one is dropped, then using the deprivation technique on him may deprive him of to the other. It may not be deprived, and if 2B rank ninjutsu scrolls fall down when he is killed, and then use deprivation on his corpse, it is impossible to get a B rank ninjutsu scroll. Understood. Luhan said hurriedly, did you mean that drops and deprivation rewards are actually interlinked? They add up to a maximum value. For example, the maximum value of ingots is 10. If you get 8 drop ingots by killing, you can get the remaining 2 by deprivation. If you get 10 by killing, because the maximum value has been reached, it is impossible to deprive more ingots. Quote. Yes. The elf was crisp and never said nonsense. ... Afternoon. Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, the previous 3 generations, several masked Anbu ninjas gave Luhan some items, which were 5 large boxes over 1 meter in length, width and height. Some boxes looked new, while others were covered with dust. At that time, Luhan thought about it, could it be a forbidden technique scroll? In fact, Luhan also knew that he was thinking too much, but he couldn't help but be obsessed. Naturally, the box is not a forbidden technique scroll, but an intelligence scroll. From the beginning of Anbu's establishment to the present, Anbu was founded by the 2nd generation Hokage Senju Tobarama. It has a history of more than 20 years, and the amount of information is unimaginable. With the double labels of important and confidential, is only a very small number in all of Anbu's intelligence, but it is also very many. The masked Anbu ninja who came to deliver the things also told Luhan that there are 20 boxes in total. Let's look at these 5 boxes first, and after reading them, new ones will be delivered. In this way, Luhan watched for a whole month. Never left Anbu station. A month later, Tsunade came to the Anbu station again. Chapter-101-120 At noon, Anbu Cave Canteen. Luhan sat in the corner, looking at the scroll while eating. It's been a month since he came to Anbu, but Luhan rarely sees anyone. He spends most of the time hiding in his room to read information. Sometimes he doesn't even come out to eat lunch, so Luhan hasn't made many friends here. Sarutobi Yushuin, Kato Kai, and Kato Feng were not at the Anbu station at noon that day, so no one sat and ate with Luhan. Master Tsunade. Master Tsunade. There were several greetings near the entrance of the cave. Luhan couldn't help but look up, but it was Tsunade who came. She glanced in the cafeteria cave, saw Luhan, and walked straight to Luhan. Tsunade teacher. Luhan greeted. Bastard kid. Tsunade, who approached, bit Kiba directly and cursed. Luhan's eyes widened, and he was speechless. He didn't know why Tsunade was scolding him. I don't have any conscience at all, and I don't know how to go out and see me. Tenten is hiding here, so you are so afraid of being assassinated. Tsunade sat opposite Luhan and lowered his voice fiercely. Is it possible to join Anbu and not recognize it? I'm a teacher. Humph. Actually, I'm busy with other things. Luhan shook the closed scroll in his hand, the quest given by Lord Hokage. There are still the last 3 boxes left to read. Is it so beautiful? No one is urging you. Why are you in such a hurry? Well, it's still pretty nice. Luhan was mad at Tsunade again. It was actually quite good looking. From the information, he could know too many secrets about the ninja world, from the start of the First Ninja War, to the peace that followed, and to the current eventful autumn. Maybe the war will resume. Luhan is looking at tea and rice without thinking, and these information are not helpful to him at all. Many Anbu ninjas around saw Luhan being trained, and many showed smirks. You have today too. Because Luhan was too aggressive in Anbu, he was young at first, but he always had a faint expression and didn't like to talk to people, but he was indeed capable, and he was getting closer and closer to Sarutobi Yushuin, so no one has dared to do so in the past month. To provoke Luhan, but there are many people who see Luhan's unhappiness. Luhan was trained, and they were cool. Tsunade glared at Luhan, and when Luhan felt hairy, he said in an unhappy tone, "The person you want to see is back. I told him that I can meet you alone outside." Captain Anbu is back. Did he find Uchiha Gumu? Or, already killed? Luhan asked in a low voice. "I didn't ask," Tsunade said, standing up again. "Come out with me." "Okay." Luhan quickly got up and took the information scroll into his arms. The two walked out one after another, left the cave dining hall, walked out of the dim passage into the cave square, entered the exit passage again, and finally disappeared at the end of the passage, hand seal. Konoha Village, back mountain forest, hot noon. Luhan, who had not seen the sun for a long time, raised his hand to block it when he first appeared, and then he got used to it. Tsunade moved quickly with Luhan. "By the way, there's something." Tsunade spoke suddenly, wanting to say something but didn't finish it. "What's the matter?" Luhan glanced at Tsunade. "If possible, don't show your face in the village. Actually, it's nothing, that is. It's okay not to let people see you, even if you see it, it's nothing." Tsunade said with an unspeakable expression. "On and off." "What's the matter?" Luhan asked. "That's it. Everyone in the village thinks you're dead. That girl from Hyuga's family called Hyuga Luo Ning came to me half a month ago and asked if you were really dead. Due to Anbu's confidentiality regulations, I didn't tell her the answer, and she cried. I'm dead. Why am I dead?" Luhan blinked at Tsunade. "What is the plot direction? How can it be considered dead?" "That's it," Tsunade said Shikai. It turned out that as early as the first day when Luhan entered Anbu, Konoha also explained that Han killed the businessman in public, saying that the other party was a spy. A genin spy who has not yet been able to determine his affiliation. Han discovered the identity of the opponent and killed him. This claim is clearly unconvincing. First, Konoha's acting was too real, and the businessmen who ate with him were also investigated, and no problems were found, and it was impossible for Konoha village to disclose the identity of Konoha. On the one hand, because Zhaohai was once Konoha missing nin, on the other hand, is to protect Han. No matter what Hanzo of the Salamander thinks about this matter, Konoha's side does not want the influence of this matter to expand. Second, Han disappeared. Two reasons cast doubt on the results announced by Konoha, including ordinary ninjas who themselves belong to Konoha. Rumors on the day of the killing had already said that Luhan killed to vent his anger, and one day after Luhan disappeared, those rumors were conclusively believed by some people to be true. Han killed the businessman just to vent his anger because the businessman scolded Tsunade. And the Konoha side is trying to cover up the truth, making up lame excuses to restore Konoha's possibly damaged image, and at the same time, they have secretly punished Han, and even may have secretly executed. So Han Kai disappeared, and after being taken away by Tsunade, he never appeared again. Luhan joined Anbu on the first day. Some people suspected that Luhan was secretly punished. Luhan has joined Anbu for a month at this time, and the remarks about Han was secretly executed are no longer rumors, but are considered to be true. Because Konoha has not come out to clarify, so as to explain why Luhan disappeared, they will not think that Han has entered Anbu. 12-year-old genin, it is impossible to enter Anbu. Tsunade's home. The door of the main building is open, and from the outside yard, you can directly see the furnishings in the lobby of the main building. You can also see a tall black-robed figure sitting next to the table and chairs used to greet guests, with a mask on his face. Two whirlwinds rolled up in the yard at the same time, and Luhan and Tsunade appeared out of thin air. Luhan noticed the tall figure wearing a mask in the lobby at first sight, and his heart was shocked. It was him. Captain Konoha Anbu Hitaki Sakumo. Chapter-101-120 Hitaki Sakumo _ Hitaki Sakumo, a genius ninja from the Konoha Hitaki clan, has the title of Konoha White Fang, because he often uses a short sword with white light. He is the father of the 6th generation of Hokage Hitaki Kakashi in the original book. However, he died very tragically, gave up his mission in order to protect his companions, and committed suicide amid accusations. This is a ninja with a great sense of justice and firm self-belief, but his death is regrettable. According to the original calculation, Kakashi was born in Konoha 34 years, and Hatake Tsukumo died when Kakashi was still studying at the ninja school. It can be speculated that Hatake Tsukumo died 40 years after Konoha, when the Second Ninja War had ended, and the Third the Ninja War has not yet begun. It was only 30 years of Konoha at this time, and Hatake Tsukumo was still a young man in his 20s, and he didn't even have the title of Konoha White Fang. Whether it is the Sanin, appellation of Tsunade, Jiraiya, Orochimaru, or the White Fang, appellation of Hatake Tsukumo, they were all obtained in the Second Ninja World War. It turned out to be him. He should be a few years older than the Tsunade 3. Luhan said in his heart. For Hatake Tsukumo, Luhan is still full of goodwill. Between the task and his companion, Hatake Tsukumo chose his companion. If Luhan was replaced by Luhan, may also choose to do so. Tsunade brought Luhan through the door. The black-robed figure with the mask sat on the chair without moving, and looked at Luhan calmly. Here comes, this kid is not honest at all, he has many tricks, you can be careful not to let him deceive. Tsunade said casually, and sat directly on the chair next to her. She knew Hatake Tsukumo very well and didn't speak much. Scruples. Luhan rolled his eyes at Tsunade. Did he say that about his apprentice? Interesting, your name is Han, right? Hatake Tsukumo smiled. He didn't expect Tsunade to judge his apprentice like this in person. Konoha Genin, number 5999, I have seen adults. Luhan said. Do you know who I am? Hatake Tsukumo asked gently. Captain Anbu, Luhan said. That's not what I meant. Hatake Tsukumo shook his head slightly, then raised his hand and took off the mask on his face, revealing a young and handsome face, staring at Luhan with bright eyes. Can you recognize me? Tsunade was taken aback, then looked at Hatake Tsukumo in surprise. She naturally talked to Hatake Tsukumo about Han's abilities, but she didn't expect that Hatake Tsukumo would try Han's abilities the first time they met. Hatake Tsukumo had joined Anbu for 6 or 7 years and seldom appeared in the village after that. 5 or 6 years old. Can you know? Luhan looked at Hatake Tsukumo, but didn't speak right away. It was too fake. To say that ordinary Anbu members can know who they are and guess the identity of Anbu members, it is easy to explain, but Anbu captain is different. Hatake Tsukumo has rarely been in the village in recent years. Appeared, the official has a completely reasonable explanation. The identity of the captain of Anbu does not have a high level of confidentiality within Anbu. All Anbu members must know who the captain is. That is their immediate boss and must know. Addition to Anbu, Captain Anbu's identity has the highest level of confidentiality. For top secret, it is the same level of secrecy as whether Uzumaki Mito is dead or not. Forget it, Tsunade couldn't help but say, he was young at the time. Hatake Tsukumo, Luhan said immediately, glanced at Tsunade, and then looked at the opposite side. Being from the Hatake family, he was famous in the village when he was young, but he rarely showed up in the village in recent years. Tsunade's eyes widened, first shocked, then speechless, staring at Luhan. Did your kid do it on purpose? Is it funny to embarrass the teacher? Snapped. Hatake Tsukumo raised his hand and patted it twice, then smiled at Luhan. Not bad, very good. In the following time, Luhan became a good baby, sitting on a chair and listening to Hatake Tsukumo and Tsunade talking. These two people are far superior to the current Luhan in terms of strength and status. In fact, Luhan is very curious. Hatake Tsukumo's current what will the rating be? Level 50 gold boss, or higher? Tsunade's conversation with Hatake Tsukumo mainly focused on this tracking of Konoha missing Ninuchiha Goki. Uchiha Goki escaped into the land of water. This is the last clue about Gumu. After that, there is no information about him, and the clue is broken in the country of water. At present, there are still a lot of Anbu ninjas operating in the country of water, chasing the trace of Uchiha Gumu. Lu Han, who had been listening, heaved a sigh of relief. Fine if you haven't found it yet. If Anbu ninja finds him first and kills him, Lu Han will lose a lot. In fact, this is not a disadvantage, but Lu Han felt that if he didn't get the first kill of the level 30 gold boss on Uchiha Gumu, he would really feel disadvantaged. The end of the conversation, Tsunade also said to Hatake Sakumo with a serious expression that he should discipline Lu Han more. On the surface, he wanted Hatake Sakumo to restrain him and teach Lu Han, but in fact, he wanted Hatake Sakumo to take care of Lu Han. Hatake Sakumo naturally agreed readily, and if he didn't take care of it, he couldn't have verbally rejected Tsunade directly. Conversation was over, Hatake Sakumo put on the mask, and Hansel left in an instant. Are you going back to Anbu? Tsunade looked at Lu Han. Can I go to the street? It's been a long time since I went to eat ramen. Lu Han said. Originally he was eating at the Anbu cafeteria, but he was called out by Tsunade before he finished eating. It's not impossible, but you have to be mentally prepared, they all think you are dead. Tsunade hesitated. There will be Anbu ninjas to protect you, but it is not recommended that you go to too remote places. Okay. Lu Han nodded. Konoha Village, the gathering place of the Hyuga clan. Indoor. In the wide fighting field, Hyuga Luo Ning, wearing the traditional physique uniform of the Hyuga family, was posing as a confrontation with an adult female ninja from the Hyuga family. Both sides opened by Akugan, and the battle was about to start. Don't show mercy, Hyuga Luo said crisply. Yes, miss, the female ninja opposite responded. Call. A whirlwind suddenly rolled up at the door, and a ninja appeared out of thin air, knelt down on one knee and said, Miss Report, someone saw Han, who had been missing for a month on the street. Chapter-101-120 Bullied Little Girl. Han Gong appeared on the streets of Konoha's bustling city. Not to mention how sensational this incident was, at least those who saw it with their own eyes were terrified. Because of the fact that Han is dead, it almost got the official acquiescence of Konoha. The official Konoha did not refute the rumor, and did not issue any statement about it, which made many people mistakenly believe that Han was really dead. Word of mouth, the three became tigers, so in the hearts of Konoha residents, Han really died. The bustling city is bustling with people coming and going. Mom. He. Look. The screams sounded one after another, and there was a riot in the street. The crowd who were walking normally suddenly spread out, as if they had seen something extremely terrifying. Some people fell and even knocked over the roadside stalls. Damn, who said I was dead first? Lu Han walked across the street touching his nose, muttering for a while. A little embarrassing. Many people looked at Lu Han with a look of fear. They are mainly non-ninja ordinary residents. Their psychological endurance is not as good as that of ninjas. People around them said that Han was dead before, and they all said that they naturally believed it. Of course, there are some people who are very calm, because they don't know Han at all, they only heard of Han's name, but they don't know what Han looks like. Lu Han walked through the downtown, and the downtown was full of chickens and dogs, and the news that Han is still alive quickly spread. Konoha's ordinary ninjas reacted immediately, and they must have misunderstood something. They all said that Han was secretly executed, but Konoha did not deny it officially, but did not admit it. Now that Han is swaggering, all rumors are self-defeating. Noodle House. This is a noodle restaurant that Lu Han often comes to. The noodles are very cheap, but if you eat a large plate of beef, it will cost a lot. On the second floor by the window, Lu Han ordered a bowl of extra beef ramen and began to wait there. After entering the noodle shop from Lu Han, it was very quiet from the first floor to the second floor. There were many diners, all of whom were regular customers of this noodle shop. There was no one who didn't know Han. Soon, the quietness turned into whispers, buzzing voices came from everywhere. Isn't he dead? It seems to be all right. Could it be that the man he killed was a spy? Impossible, that's a businessman, very rich. There was a lot of discussion. Lu Han turned his head and glanced, his eyes swept away, he didn't say anything, and no one dared to ask Lu Han, no acquaintance of Lu Han, and all the people who came to eat and drink in this kind of public noodle restaurant were low-level ninjas. Besides, Lu Han was Tsunade's disciple, and he disappeared for a while because of the murder, which made people instinctively fearful. The noodles are here. You eat well. The young man brought the noodles, but he didn't dare to look at Lu Han with his eyes, he put it down and immediately left. Lu Han began to eat noodles, and looked out the window from time to time. It didn't take long before he saw Yuhi's famous spy, but it was only Jenin, and Lu Han didn't care about it. Ah! Lu Han suddenly saw a figure with a very familiar name. The figure was small, walking on the street with anger, as if being bullied. Under Lu Han's gaze, the figure entered the noodle restaurant, but Lu Han couldn't see it, so he could only withdraw his gaze, and turned his head to look at the stairs. Are you going to the second floor? Because it's noon now, and it's dinner time, the seats on the first floor are rarely crowded, so many guests who have just arrived will come to the second floor. Lu Han watched, and after a while, the figure jumped up the stairs, still looking very angry. About 6 years old, she wears a knee-length skirt, has long Yuhi-colored hair, and her face is very beautiful, but she is a little baby fat. In Lu Han's eyes, she has a few big characters on her head, Uzumaki Kushina. The little girl didn't know who was bullied, and there was some Yuhi around her eyes. Not many places on the second floor. Kushina stopped to look and walked to the window. Lu Han happened to be facing the table in front of her. She jumped and sat on the chair. The guy came over immediately. The little girl was he whispered what he wanted, and the guy nodded and left. Lu Han took another bite of the noodles and looked at Kushina thoughtfully. What are you looking at? Don't look at me. Kushina noticed Lu Han's gaze, and immediately scolded, staring at Lu Han. Lu Han was much older than her, but she was not afraid at all, and she didn't know if it was because she was in a bad mood. That's right. The expressions of many people around changed, and they sweated for Kushina. Konoha's ninjas, to kill hostile ninjas, that is a mission, there is no right or wrong, and if a ninja kills ordinary people, it absolutely has nothing to do with good, and it will be associated with the word, tyranny. You have a very violent temper. Lu Han laughed and joked, you are so temperamental, why don't you dare to fight back against those who bully you? Kushina was at a loss for words, her face swelled with Yuhi, she stared at Lu Han, her eyes circled a little again. Yuhi took a while to speak, but her voice slowed down a lot, how do you know? Her voice a little aggrieved. A fool can see it, you have written it all on your face. Lu Han crooked the corner of his mouth, looked down at his face, rolled it up with chopsticks, then looked at Kushina and said, I'm a ninja. When I was in school, I was often bullied, alas. It was tears when I said it. Quote. Lu Han shook his head, lowered his head and took a big mouthful of noodles, looking very melancholy. Kushina looked at Lu Han, hesitated for a moment, jumped off his chair, detoured to Lu Han's table, jumped on the chair again, and sat opposite Lu Han. What are you doing? Lu Han looked up at Kushina again. You were bullied. What should I do? Kushina pursed her lips and said, blinking at Lu Han with her big eyes. I didn't do anything. Lu Han shook his head, then paused and said, because I didn't do anything. Until I left the ninja school, I was always the target of bullying. They laughed at me and insulted me. Hit me. Coward, Kushina whispered. Aren't you? Lu Han asked back. Kushina was speechless again, her breathing was a little short, her face was aggrieved and annoyed, and she lowered her head. Do you want me to give you a suggestion? Lu Han smiled again. Chapter-101-120 Eating noodles can also reveal. What? Kushina raised her head again, and seemed reluctant to talk to Lu Han. Whoever bullies you in the future, you will hit him. If they are bad, you must become even worse, so as not to be bullied. Lu Han laughed and shook his head and sighed, actually, I regret that I didn't fight back against them. Human courage. But I can't beat them. Kushina had long wanted to do that, but didn't have the courage. Who said you have to beat it? Luhan asked back, and added, this is about strategy. They are a large group of people. You are not an opponent, but you can start one by one. When school is over, you will follow one of them. Go to a place where no one is there. You rush up from behind. It is best to take something in your hand, such as a sturdy long wooden stick, remember. To hit the head. The human head is the most vulnerable. After a heavy blow, there will be dizziness. As long as you can take the lead, you will definitely be able to teach him a lesson. Come one by one like this, and teach them all. Okay. Kushina clenched her fists all of a sudden, her face full of resentment, but then she weakly pouted and said with a drooping head, but what about after that? There was a large group of them at school. Will still laugh at me, and if I hit them, they will hit me too. This involves the question of who is more ruthless than whom. You have to make them afraid of you. Luhan smiled. By the way, what's your name? Uzumaki Kushina. Kushina replied casually. My name is Han, so let's go, Kushina, I'll give you a present when we meet for the first time. Luhan shook his hand, and there was an extra thing in his hand. He placed it on the table in front of Kushina. It's for you, be careful. It's sharp. A bitterness. Silver gray, but turns pure white when exposed to sunlight. This is a penultimate class weapon, penultimate, reflective kunai. In terms of hardness, toughness, and sharpness, this is a magic weapon. Luhan's current weapon, the assassination blade of penultimate, is not higher than this kuwu. In the subversive space, it takes a few ingots to exchange. Of course Luhan wouldn't give away penultimate level items, although he already had a lot of penultimate level weapons, and the extra ones would not be used. And giving it to Kushina is naturally not casual. Jinchuriki column force from Nikubi, 9 Tails, in Konoha village, it is also right to send gifts to build a good relationship. Kushina looked at the kunai on the table, and some did not dare to take it, not only because it was a weapon that could kill, but also because it looked very precious. You're only 6 or 7 years old. If you can bully you, no matter how old you are, you won't be a few years older than you. You're all a ninja school kid. Luhan said with a smile, remember. People are vulnerable to attacks in their hearts and necks. Arteries, eyes, back of the head. If these places are pierced, it may kill people in a very short period of time. Remember, never stab those places with kunai, no matter how hard those people bully you, no matter how they scold you don't want to stab you, you must remember this, there is no such deep hatred. What Luhan said was correct, but the diners around the second floor were all in a cold sweat. It is repeatedly emphasized that you can't stab the key, isn't the subtext just stab at the key? Does piercing an organ not kill you? Bleeding too much doesn't kill people. This. Remember what I said. Luhan didn't teach the children a little bit of consciousness, and repeated again, that's a place that can cause death. You must avoid it, understand? Young Kushina looked at the kunai on the table, breathing faster and faster, suddenly nodded heavily, grabbed the kunai on the table, jumped off the chair, and walked towards the stairs aggressively. After Kushina left, the second floor of the noodle restaurant rang again with low voices of discussion. The cold has changed, it has really changed. ... Luhan continued to eat noodles, feeling that it was not enough, so he ordered some beef. Not long after, Luhan, who was eating noodles with his head down, suddenly paused and looked aside. Hyuga Luoning had already walked to the table, staring at Luhan with a stern face. What's wrong? Luhan raised his head and bit his face, blinking his eyes and asking vaguely. Where have you been? Hyuga Luoning grabbed Luhan's collar, pulled Luhan up, and asked fiercely, his eyes staring at Yuhi, where have you been this month? They all say you're dead. Why aren't you dead? Let me go first, Luhan said vaguely, and at the same time sucked the noodle he was biting into his mouth. The sides of his mouth were stuffed, and he chewed with a big mouth, in a hurry, as if he wanted to quickly swallow your face. Hyuga Luoning's expression suddenly froze. Immediately afterwards, as if seeing something terrifying, he pushed Lu Han away, staggered back 2 steps, and didn't stop until he hit the back table. She looked at Lu Han with disbelief. Lu Han finally finished chewing the noodles, swallowed it, looked at Hyuga Luoning in confusion and asked, "What's wrong?" Hyuga Luoning didn't speak. Her eyes widened until the boss looked at Lu Han. Cold sweat left on her temples, she slowly shook her head, and her body trembled. "Unbelievable. This is impossible. Are you ill?" Lu Han rolled his eyes at Hyuga Luoning, sat back on the chair, picked up the chopsticks and raised the noodles again, put them into his mouth to eat. 1 bite. 2 bites. Lu Han suddenly heart shock. He finally responded. "Fuck, I'll be exposed even if I eat noodles." Lu Han already had the urge to vomit blood, but on the surface it was the same as before. After eating the noodles in his mouth, he put down his chopsticks, looked up at Hyuga Luoning, frowned and asked, "What's wrong with you? Don't look at it that way. Are you okay with me?" Lu Han doesn't seem to understand what's going on, and the other diners on the 2nd floor don't understand even more. They really don't understand. What happened to Miss Hyuga? Hyuga Luoning was a little excited, leaning against the back table, her eyes staring at Lu Han. The memory of that night involuntarily emerged in her mind, the ugly face under the icy crack mask, and Lu Han, the faces with bulging cheeks just after eating the noodles flashed alternately, eventually forming a coincidence. "No, this is impossible," Hyuga Luoning suddenly screamed, holding her head as if collapsed.